Is it Mary's? ahead.
On.
Please be seated. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending this meeting of the Council. Please note that the meeting is being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel. I welcome members of the press and the public who may be viewing this meeting remotely. I'd also like to welcome some journalism students who are with us today from the University of Sunderland. I hope that you find these proceedings interesting. We now move on to the formal business of the meeting. Can we take the notice convening the meeting as read?
Point of order, Mayor Sunderland.
Councillor Niall Hodgson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sunderland. I just want to raise a point of order regarding items 4 and 5 on the council procedure rules, which relate to the notice of summons of meetings and the time and place of meetings. Now, those summons are made public and are issued to the public. And I think on that basis, it is incumbent on the council to make sure that it is possible for the public to attend meetings. I think the last 20 minutes have been remarkably smoothly and competently handled by the council, but I think there is perhaps some learning to be done about making sure that public access is available for future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, Mr Mayor, we have apologies from councillors Curtis, McKinley, D Snowden, D E Snowden, Checker, Glancy, Alderman Farthing, Forbes and Tate, and Councillor Laws has indicated he may be late to the meeting.
Are there any further apologies? The next item is the minutes of the meeting of the Council held on the 4th of March 2026 and the extraordinary meeting held on the 11th of March 2026. Can I remind members that any comments must be related to the accuracy of the minutes? Can we agree the minutes? Do any members have any interest to declare that they haven't already entered on the declaration sheet in the lobby? Councillor Fiona Miller.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Sorry, Mr Mayor. Point of personal clarification regarding my status as a Labour councillor. I have resigned as from 12 p.m. today as a Labour councillor. I am a Green Party member and wish to move to the opposition side, please.
Thank you very much for letting me know. You can move to the other side of the room. Councillor Stephen O'Brien.
My declaration of interest is not as exciting as that. I think I'd rather go further right than that, in fairness.
Right.
Just a declaration of interest. I work for the WISE group, who are in receipt of UK FPS funding, just because there is a VCS motion later today.
Thank you, that's been noted. Do any other councillors have any declarations of interest? No. The council was saddened to learn of the recent death of former councillor Tom Foster. Tom represented the Castle Ward between 1998 and 2012 and was mayor of the council from 2006 to 2007 municipal year. Tom served on a number of committees and outside bodies, chairing the Development and Control of North Sunderland Subcommittee, and was a long-standing councillor representative on the Northumbria Police Authority. On behalf of the council, I offer condolences to Tom's family and friends and ask members to join me in a minute of silence. Thank you. As municipal elections in May approach, there are a number of colleagues who have indicated that they will be retiring at the end of their current terms of office. I would like to pay tribute to the contribution which councillors Clinton, Heron, Hodson, Mason Gage, McKeith, Newey, Samuels, Scott, Vera and Peter Walker have made during their time in office, as well as wish them well for the future. All of these councillors have been excellent representatives for their community, but I feel that I should make a particular mention of our two long-standing members who are stepping down. Having been very active in her local community for many years, Juliana Heron first served as a councillor for Eppleton Ward from 1996 to 2004, and then as councillor for Coptill Ward from 2004 to 2007. After a short break, Juliana came back to the council as a representative for Horton Ward in 2015. During her time on the council, Juliana has served on a large number of committees and has been a mainstay of the Licensing Committee and Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee. Juliana was also Mayor of Sunderland in 2004 to 2003 municipal year. Peter Walker was elected to the Washington North Ward in 2004, following a family tradition of serving on Sunderland City Council. Peter has served on a wide range of committees, acting as a Vice Chair of the Washington Area Committee and the Policy and Coordination Review Committee, and was a policy member, project lead member, and then Deputy Cabinet Member for Public Health, Wellness and Culture Communities and Culture and Vibrant City from 2012 to 2024. Can I thank those retiring from the council today for their contribution? If any member wishes to speak, please indicate.
Mr Mayor, we've had prior notice from councillors Price, Fletcher, Hodson, Mullen and Dixon. Councillor Samuels, Councillor Tye, Councillor Mordy, Councillor Butler, Councillor Edgeworth, Councillor Thornton, Councillor Burrell. So, Mr Mayor, the speakers are councillors Price, Fletcher, Hodson, Mullen, Dixon, Samuels, Tye, Mordy, Butler, Edgeworth, Thornton and Burrell. Apologies, Councillor Scott as well.
Any other councillors? No. Right. Councillor Price?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Hello, colleagues. Good afternoon. Well, colleagues, both sides of the chamber today, this is a truly memorable meeting of our council. It's a little sad, but we're very happy as well that our colleague Juliana and, of course, her husband Bob, sitting at the back, who's always here, will be relaxing a little bit more. It may be surprising to many, but I have personally known Juliana for over 30 years in various capacities. Even as a young lad in the miners' strike, my dad used to refer to Bob and Juliana as being very active in the community at that time. Then years later, of course, as an officer of this city council and then Hetton Town Council, I served and worked closely with Juliana for many years. It was then I saw her deep commitment to serving and improving the lives of residents and all aspects of our community. What a worker, steeped in tradition and always doing what's best for people over many, many years. Of course, when Juliana was serving as mayor of this city, we saw her shine. Together with her sister, Marie, who is another lovely lady, if you've met Marie, they represented all that is good, friendly, proud, diligent of this city, two perfect ambassadors. I know colleagues and the mayoral chauffeurs in attendance particularly loved working with them on all occasions, even though very affectionately they always called them Hinge and Bracket. The lovely ladies, and as always, Bob was there to support them. Then, of course, as a Houghton Ward councillor, she was my colleague and helped and advised me when I first came on the council and told me exactly how to develop as a serving councillor. I then again saw at first hand her work and her determination to help all. She may be small in stature, but is large in determination. One of her greatest wishes came true, a Christmas tree and fence houses. One thing is for certain, whilst we all work hard to ensure we are returned at the election next month, I know and I am sure Juliana would have been returned had she stood with ease. However, there's always one thing that I had to shake my head at, Juliana. You all may know that our Houghton main shopping street, New Bottle Street, I would guess most people are able to walk the whole length of the street in about 5 or 6 minutes. But on our walkabouts with Juliana, it took us well over 20 to 30 minutes. Why? Because everyone knows her. Everyone stopped to talk to her. She knows most people, their family histories, and why we've helped them in the past. Juliana's Houghton's favourite lady. We will all miss her, but wish her a long and happy retirement. Thank you.
Point of order, Mayor Sunderland.
Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. Mayor Sunderland, I appreciate that there are councillors retiring and there are lots of people wanting to speak about that, but I wonder if we could move under Rule 14.1.c, a change to the order of business, so that perhaps we hear the motion about the Glass Centre first and this slightly more civic business could be concluded at the end of the meeting.
I second that motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hodgson. That will have to be put to a vote to full council.
Moving it to
When exactly should that be moved to, Councillor Hodgson?
I was suggesting, Mayor Sunderland, if I may, that we just hear the Glass Centre motion, which is, I think, the last item of business on the agenda, immediately. And if the council wishes, it could return to these announcements and speeches towards the end of the meeting, at your pleasure.
Yes, of course. Councillor Modi.
Mr. Mayor, the Labour Group's happy to support that if we come straight back to the order of the business as it is set out. So do the Glass Centre and come straight back to the tributes and then carry on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Leader. Can I have a show of hands? Who is in favour? Right, everyone. Amazing. Please give me one moment while I get the paperwork ready. Councillors, we will now move to deal with the notice of motion, which is titled National Glass Centre. Councillor Tai, would you like to read and move the motion?
I will, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Council condemns the University of Sunderland's decision to close the National Glass Centre and believes the proposal is flawed. Council believes the cost proposals set out to remedy some defects with the building and the supplied running costs are presented in a way to deceive the Council and its residents. Council acknowledges that it is in the best interest of the City of Sunderland that glass making is preserved in the city. Council therefore calls on the University to immediately halt the planned closure and demolition of the National Glass Centre, to work with Sunderland City Council and its partners to firstly review the decision-making process and how the council and public were led to believe that this was the only option due to the condition of the building, and secondly, to review the decision with a view to exploring alternative viable options. These could include transferring the building to a public body, a commercial partner, or the formation of a new or existing charitable trust to strengthen the aims and objectives of the NGC. Council requests that the University of Sunderland works with Sunderland City Council and its partners to lobby the North East Combined Authority, UK Government and any other potential funders to secure short-term funding for initial capital works, as well as future revenue support, while an independent review into the future viability of the NGC is carried out. Council resolves to ask the University of Sunderland to work alongside any interested party wishing to take over ownership of the NGC in an open and transparent way, with open book access to ensure that full due diligence can take place.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tai. Councillor Wilson, do you second the motion?
I do, Mr Mayor, and reserve the right to speak there.
Councillor Tai, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I do, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, councillors, aldermen and members of the public, I rise today to speak in strong support of our motion to save the National Glass Centre, not simply as a building, but as a living testament to who we are as a city. Sunderland's story is the story of glassmaking. For over 1,350 years, glass has helped shape our identity, our industry and our reputation across the world. To lose the National Glass Centre is to lose the beating heart of that story. Let's be clear. This isn't just a local building on our beautiful riverside, it's a national institution. Artists, craftspeople, students and visitors from across the UK and beyond come here to witness the fusion of innovation, education and heritage. It is where world-class glass art meets community creativity, a place where Sunderland still defines what glassmaking means in the modern world. The university's decision to close and demolish the centre on the grounds of financial difficulty and repair costs has sparked outrage, not only because people don't understand those challenges, but because they also feel excluded from the decisions that will shape their city's future. Transparency's been lacking. That's why the council must demand the facts. What exactly are the operating losses? Were the structural repair costs inflated or misrepresented to reach an end game? Have genuine alternatives such as transferring ownership to a trust or a public body been properly explored? As campaigners from the Save the National Glass Centre have reminded us, this is about the democratic right of communities to have a voice in their own heritage. This is about empathy, accountability and ambition. Quality Sunderland has in abundance. Now, I welcome the ambition behind Glassworks Sunderland, the proposed new facility in Sunderland, but we cannot abandon one landmark while proposing another still on paper. The National Glass Centre isn't obsolete. It is a globally recognised site. It's repairable, and with transparent financial engagement, I believe it can still be viable. We have an opportunity, not simply to preserve the building, but to protect a legacy, safeguard jobs, training, and keep Sunderland firmly on the map as a centre of excellence in the glass and design world. So tonight, I urge colleagues, let's stand with the people of this city, the artists, the students, the families, the glassblowers and the generations who built Sunderland's reputations with skill and pride. Let's commit to working openly with the university, with government and with cultural partners to find a sustainable path forward. Let's stand as one council, regardless of party colours, to support this motion. And above all, let's send a clear message that Sunderland does not quietly accept the loss of its heritage. We'll fight for it, because once it's gone forever.
Thank you, Councillor Tai. Councillor Wilson, did you want to speak now, or did you want to speak after, because there's an amendment coming? Do you want to speak after?
Go on then.
Do you want to speak now, Councillor? Please do so.
Here's where I put my foot in it, Phil. Mr Mayor, I first want to pay my respects to the National Glass Centre campaign group who have been persistent in the pursuit of the truth. I also want to acknowledge the great developments taking place around the city, but what is going on in the National Glass Centre is tarnishing these great achievements and bringing the city into disrepute. When I first heard it was 45 million to repair the Glass Centre, I was going to phone Crime Stoppers because I thought they're getting dodgy builders in and I thought they're getting took on. This City Hall didn't cost 45 million. It's massive, brand new. We're getting an eye infirmary hospital built, state of the art, 46 million. So to say it's 45 million to repair a building. And the thing is, what I got annoyed about was I believed them because they're the university. And you've got to trust these anchor institutions and cornerstone institutions. Their whole business depends on the trust people have in them. But when, I've wrote the script out, I've abandoned it already. But when the campaign group got in touch with me and said it's closer to 5 million, not 45 million, and when Nigel sent us the figures and we went through them and all that, it's absolutely disgraceful what's going on there. Right, back to the script. The NEC is not an old building, but it's a very historically important building, marking the new millennium and when the Queen granted the town of Sunderland city status. It's also the country's National Glass Centre. I could tell you a really good story about a woman from the Home Office up here who went to the Glass Centre, blamed me for it. I'll have to tell you how I got the blame, but she said it was fantastic. Sunderland's, she lives and works in central London, and she walked from the Civic Centre to the Glass Centre, then to a hotel, and she said, it's the best city experience I've ever had. She says Sunderland doesn't know what they got, and she bought a bit of glass from the Glass Centre. I'm sure the majority of councillors will support this amendment. Shall I mention Article 4 for this motion? Go on, and I'll dive into it. The Labour Party, the Labour group, on Monday agreed to fire off Article Direction 4. It's a legal tool that allows local authorities to restrict permitted development rights, things that can normally happen without plan permission. And what we'll do is call that in to get plan permission, which means it'll have to come in front of the plan committee. The plan committee can ask all the questions, hopefully get all the answers that we're looking for. So it doesn't prevent the demolition, but it calls it in to see, for this city to see, is there any other options? Is there anything else you can do? Why did the university not go out to other people asking for alternative ideas for the building? When the Sage building at Gateshead had similar problems, asked everybody in the world, have you got any ideas to save this building? So Article 4 should bring some answers to that. I hope everybody, well, you all know the story, you're all sitting there. So to save a bit of time, rather than waffling on with pages, saying, right, you're looking at us. I hope you all support this motion and let's get this Glass Centre saved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson, for your contribution. Councillor Walton, I believe you want to move an amendment. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment. As you know, Liberal Democrats have always been in support of keeping the Glass Centre open. And I think this amendment is designed to put some flesh on the bones of the current amendment and specifically some money on the table. So, Mr Mayor, the amendment would change paragraph 8 after the words can take place.
Sorry, just to interrupt, just to let councillors know, Councillor Walton, you haven't written in, have you?
I have not, Mr.
No.
Mayor.
So
an amendment on
you'll
the,
have to be very
on the
clear
day
because
amendment.
councillors are trying to understand what the amendment is, but obviously, so sorry, I'll let you continue, but I was just informing everyone.
Would you like me to read the amendment, Mr. Mayor? So the amendment would read, after can take place, paragraph 8, Council further resolves to 1, ask the Chief Executive to write to the Department for Culture, Media and Sport to ask for either A, further funding, or B, reallocation of government money being used on the former Peter Smith's antique building to save the National Glass Centre in its current location in order to safeguard it for current and future generations. And 2, ask the relevant portfolio holder to provide an in-person progress report on this matter to both full council and the relevant scrutiny committee by June 2026. So, Mr. Mayor, I suppose the basis of this amendment is there's a substantial amount of government money available, currently allocated to the Glassworks Peter Smith warehouse project, and we do know from credible evidence from the Save the Glass Centre campaign that the true cost of saving the Glass Centre is very comparable to that money. Hope you will accept that amendment, Mr. Mayor, and I put it to the Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sunderland. I'm happy to second that amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson, you beat me to it. Do you have any copies for the proposer for Phil Tighe, Councillor Phil Tighe? Do you want to? Is that okay if someone passes it to him? He might want to have a look. Councillor Phil Tighe, I'm just giving you a minute to have a look through. Councillor Walton, do you want to speak to your amendment?
Thanks for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. I mean, really, I think the amendment is self-explanatory. It's about this council putting money forward towards the Saving the Glass Centre. There's a pot of money available if we can get hold of it, and it's clearly going to be very comparable to the assessed cost by the Save the Glass Centre campaign. I don't think I need to add anything in terms of the amendment as stated.
Councillor Hodgson, do you wish to speak?
Yes, why not? Thank you, Mayor Sunderland. We would like to approach this motion in a collegiate manner. I think it's taking a little restraint on this side of the chamber not to be a little put off by the Labour Party's last-minute change of direction on the subject of the Glass Centre and willingness to cooperate. So the idea of this motion is simply to acknowledge the fact that we have a Labour-run council for now. We do have 3 Labour MPs. We have a Labour regional mayor. We have a Labour government. There are lots of levers in the hands of the Labour Party to actually enact this change. The worry with the motion as it stands is that it is, by large parts, hitting the university with a stick. There may be fair justification for that, but there is something incumbent, I think, on the Labour Party and this council more generally to actually put its money where its mouth is and say, we not only don't want the university to knock down the Glass Centre, we would like to have that ownership of that site returned to us, and we would like to run it, to restore it, to manage it. And I think, as Peter has said, there is a route to that we can see. We'd like the Labour Party to go along with us, and that would mean that the amendment that we adopt tonight isn't just speaking into the void and shouting at the university. It's actually making a firm commitment for this council to protect the future of the Glass Centre. So something we'd actually go away with tonight having achieved. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak to the amendment?
Mr Mayor, we've had prior notice from councillors Potts, Wood, Fagan and Edgeworth. Councillor Mullen, you gave prior notice of wishing to speak on the motion. Do you wish to speak on the amendment? Okay. Councillor Ty has the right of reply. Councillor Fiona Miller. Councillor Hartnack. So, Mr Mayor, the speakers on the amendment are Councillors Potts, Wood, Fagan, Edgeworth, F Miller, Hartnack, and Councillor Ty has the right of reply.
Councillor Potts.
Mr Mayor, I'll just hand on to my colleague, who's virtually going to say the same as me, so just to save a bit of time.
Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh.
Enter the meeting. Smart cities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lovely. Oh, hang on, that's not going to work. We are a city built on grit and fire. A till the end attitude. We don't walk away when things get tough. We get through it, make a massive painting about it in the city, and then move on. If this continues, we're going to need a bigger Marxies. But I will focus on a different kind of Sunderland pride, pride in the National Glass Centre. Now, I have met with Sir David Bell, Vice-Chancellor. In our discussions, he voiced a specific concern that to date, no third party had come forward with a solid, viable proposal to take the reins of the National Glass Centre. However, and this is a crucial part, he made it clear to me and to Niall that if such a proposal existed, the university would be happy to help. That is why this amendment is so important. It isn't just about sentiment. It's about creating an open book transparency, and the time needed and the money to make it happen now. Let's try and assuage Sir David's concerns. We must remember that the National Glass Centre is more than a gallery, a nod to heritage. It can be, should be, a manufacturing powerhouse. It houses specialised equipment and space that supports jobs, supports industry. The building was designed for that. The back end of the building was meant to have an industry that supports the front end. To lose this building to demolition isn't just a loss for the arts, it's a dismantling of a functional, job-creating resource that Sunderland's economy shouldn't be afforded for £1 to lose. Pause the demolition, give breathing room, give funding. Ensure funding. Sir David has said that there is an open door. I know how much you all like open doors. By saying the university is willing to listen. Let's make sure that there is time to listen and that there are funds for that time to make use of. We are at 1-1. It is half time in supporting this amendment. Let's put that winner in. Please support the amendment. Thank you very much.
Councillor Fagan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just keep it quite brief. I know a lot of people want to talk about the fondness for the Glass Centre. I just want to kind of really highlight what's gone on with the Labour group, to be honest. From the moment the Glass Centre's it was announced that the Glass Centre was going to close, the campaign group have been calling on the Labour Council for help and support to halt what is a deeply damaging decision. For far too long, those calls have been ignored by the Labour group. Labour turned their back on the group, suspended one of their own councillors for speaking out, and failed to take any meaningful action when it mattered most. Now, with an election approaching, political pressure mounting, there's been a sudden change in position, and this late intervention raises some serious questions about motives and timing. It's difficult not to see it as an attempt to regain public favour, and it may well be too late. That said, we have finally all agreed in wanting to protect this important part of our heritage and history. The priority now must be action, not words, and it needs to be done quick. I only hope that this shift does not come too late to make a difference. Valuable time has been lost while the campaign group has fought simply to gain the council's attention and support. And throughout this period, there has been a clear opportunity for leadership that has not been taken. The council leader sits on the university's board. He has direct access, influence and a seat at the table, yet he's failed to use it in any meaningful way to protect this vital asset. That is it's not just disappointing, it's indefensible. Now at the 11th hour, we are expected to believe the sudden shift in support is genuine. The timing speaks for itself. If this building closes, especially with the change in council control on the horizon in May, there will be no rewriting what happened. This record will be clear and unavoidable. Labour stood by, did nothing and only spoke up when it was far too late, and the people of Sunderland will remember this. Thank you.
Councillor Edgeworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think this is a sensible amendment, just asking us to request that the government do more to save the National Glass Centre, and so we don't have to settle for second best with a glassworks scheme which doesn't necessarily have the confidence of those who are expected to work there and which won't, I believe, safeguard the continuity of glassmaking on Wearside that we all care about. I want to pay tribute on record to the tenacity of the campaigners for keeping this on the agenda, for keeping the Labour group and administration and this council on their toes, and for not allowing this to be brushed under the carpet, particularly to Carolyn, Anne, Nigel, Elena, Joe, and everyone involved. They've done an absolutely amazing job, and I want to say thank you to you all for that. Liberal Democrats have always supported the campaign group and are happy to support cross-party efforts to save the National Glass Centre in its current building and location, and I genuinely hope this motion works. But as others have said, I have genuine doubts over the intention of this motion. It's not cross-party, hasn't been signed on a cross-party basis. If Labour had been genuine in their desire to save the National Glass Centre, they've had years to do it. Residents, as Heather Fagan has said, will be extremely sceptical of the timing of this motion ahead of what is set to be a bruising set of elections for the Labour Party in this city. And as Niall Hodgson has said, we don't need a motion to save the National Glass Centre. Labour run the council, they have all the MPs, they have the regional mayor, and they run the government with a huge majority. If only there was something they could do to save the National Glass Centre. And what they don't want the public to hear in this debate is the fact that they've been complicit in the closure of the Glass Centre by giving it away to university in the first place without any proper safeguards. As Heather Fagan said, Labour leaders and cabinet members have served on the university's board and have been involved in decision-making around closing the Glass Centre. Senior figures at the university tell us that no one from the council has ever approached them to discuss taking on the Glass Centre in order to save it, which tells you everything you need to know. So we will support this motion. I genuinely hope it works, but it is imperative that Labour own their own failures over many years to properly support and protect the National Glass Centre as a great asset for this city and for the whole country. Excuse the scepticism for this, over this last-ditch attempt to save their own skin ahead of the election. I hope everyone will support the amendment and I hope the campaign is successful. And thank you to you all. Thank you.
Councillor Fiona Miller.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's actually quite an honour to stand on this side as a Green Party member today and actually not be whipped on something that I really feel genuinely important to me. I have the Arts Centre in Biddick Lane, which is part of my ward, and there's glass in there from the Glass Centre. I've bought glass from the Glass Centre. I've been down there many, many years, and I'm going to be honest with you. Article 4 is great, but it needs a bit of a kick behind it. And if you don't have that kick, which is asking the Chief Exec to send a letter, to speak to the MPs, and especially Kim McGuinness, the Mayor, it's worthless, if you don't mind me saying. So I think you should actually accept this and go with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Hartnack.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, colleagues, aldermen, members of the public and most importantly members of the Glass Centre who are well represented here today. We are here today not just to discuss a building but to defend a legacy, a place of creativity, education and cultural identity. The National Glass Centre is far more than bricks and glass. It's a living symbol of our region's heritage, innovation and artistic excellence. For decades, the Centre has celebrated Sunderland's historic relationship with glassmaking, an industry that helped shape this city and its people. It has inspired hundreds of thousands of visitors, supported artists, educated young minds, and contributed to our local economy. To lose it would not simply be to close a venue, it would be to erase part of who we are. But today, this vital institution faces uncertainty, and that is why planning policy, particularly Article 4, matters so deeply. Article 4 directions exist for a reason. They allow local authorities to protect buildings and areas that hold special cultural, historical or community value by removing permitted development rights. In simple terms, they ensure that important places cannot be altered or repurposed without proper scrutiny. They give communities a voice, and they ensure that decisions are made thoughtfully and not hastily. Applying Article 4 protection in this context is not about blocking development, it's about guiding it responsibly. It's about ensuring that any future changes respect the centre's significance, its architectural integrity, and its role within the community. And without such protection, we risk losing control over what happens next. A space dedicated to education, culture and leisure pursuits could be converted into something that serves none of the aforementioned. Once that happens, there is absolutely no going back. We must ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want? Do we want a future where cultural landmarks are quietly lost, replaced by short-term alternatives that offer little lasting value, like the ill-thought-out proposals for glassworks? Or do we want a future where heritage and progress coexist, where development enhances rather than erases our identity? The National Glass Centre is not an obstacle to regeneration. It's an asset. It attracts visitors, supports local businesses, and provides opportunities for artists and students alike. With the right investment and vision, it can continue to thrive as part of a modern, dynamic Sunderland. Saving it is not about nostalgia. It's about sustainability, cultural, economic and social. And let's be clear, once a cultural institution like this is gone, it is almost impossible to recreate. You cannot rebuild decades of history, community connection and artistic contribution overnight. So today, I urge decision makers, stakeholders and members of the community, use the tools available to you. Support Article 4 protections as has been articulated by Denny. Ensure that any planning decisions involving the National Glass Centre are made transparently, carefully and with full regard for its importance. Stand up not just for a building, but for a shared heritage. Because places like this do not just tell our story, they shape our future. In addition to a formal petition containing 43,354 signatures over the past 2 months, there have also been 450,000 views recorded on the Save the National Glass Centre webpage. The people of Sunderland and beyond care about this national treasure. Neglected for so long by Sunderland University, but it can nevertheless be saved if this council chooses to do so. Yes, this is a political choice, and we have got to make that choice today. We have, according to the clock that's ticking down over on the right there, we have 122 days to save our National Glass Centre. Let us protect it, let us value it, and let us ensure that generations to come can walk through its doors and be inspired, just as so many have before. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Phil Tighe, you have the right of reply.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I think I'll start off by saying we're exceptionally close, I think. there's a couple, we need to just have a very small discussion. There's one part of this that I have got a problem with, and I'll come into that in a second. I firstly want to answer the Labour group's position and what Councillor Fagan says about the last minute. we can't hide the fact. It was in the widely in the public domain when Councillor Denny Wilson got hold of it, and as we well know, when he gets hold of things, he follows them through. You've just got to look at Hilton Castle as a fine example of, we had a building that, well, it had fell down, and his determination and his convincing of this council and the Labour group. Look what you've got now. It's an absolutely fantastic building. So when Denny Wilson gets hold of something, he gets hold of it for a reason. I, as the Labour group chair, was told to get close to Denny, find out what's really going on. Because we believed, I'm not going to lie, we believed the information that was put in front of us by the university, by council, everything that was presented to us, I think it's fair to say it bona fide made sense what was presented to us. It was when you started, when Denny introduced us to the campaign group, to Nigel, to Caroline, you start, as I describe it, peeling the onion, keep peeling the onion, and we just kept finding stranger and stranger things. And that's when I said, hold on a minute, there's something not right with this, we need to do something about it. Yep, I'll look at every single campaigner in the eye and say, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry we didn't do it quicker, but I'd prefer to do it now than to not do it late, to not do it at all. And that's a position we're in. There's no hidden agendas, got nothing to do with the local elections. I'll say the local election situation is caused by a national situation. It's got nothing to do with local. I'll stand up and shout from the rooftops what I think we've achieved in this city. You look at the riverside, you look at the developments across the city, it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm not hiding anything locally, but that is where we're at. If I come back to the technicality in here that I've got a big concern about, I can either do it here, I'll tell you it, and whether or not the two leaders and myself want to quickly come together and then retreat off into our groups, have a very quick discussion. There's one thing that I've got an issue with. I'm really no problem at all in Chief Exec writing a letter seeking further funding. I don't think we can reallocate the government money for glassworks, and I'll tell you the reason for that. There's two reasons. Firstly, that money actually wasn't given to the council in the first place. It was given to Sunderland Culture. I don't think that's right for us to make a decision for another organisation in this council chamber. That's the first one. The second one, we've got to have a fallback. If everything else fails, if we do everything we do and the university stick their heels in and say, absolutely, our building, got your Article 4 direction, we'll follow the process, we'll go through planning, goes to planning committee refuse it, it goes to appeal, the planning inspectorate allows that appeal to go through, the building comes down, you've got nothing. So I would say that everything else you've said in there is absolutely fine, other than the reallocation of the government funding at this stage. And the reason for I'm saying at this stage is I think that could be potentially done later if everything else does, if that was saved, if fundamentally it was able to be saved, then you could potentially look at talk to Sunderland Culture, have a discussion with council and reallocate that funding. As it stands, if you look at the original motion I wrote where I say you can't commit to anything until you get that book open and you see how bad it actually is. Is it bad or is it not bad? So that's what I would reach out to you say. I think I'm more than happy to make another amendment to just take out that reallocation of government funding being used on the Peter Smith Antiques building to save the National Glass Centre. Everything else I'm content
Just a very quick point of clarification, Mr Mayor. The amendment is about writing to the department to ask for it to be. So we're not suggesting this council reallocates, we're suggesting there's a request for central government, just in terms of that objection. But thank you for what you said.
Okay, thank you for your point of clarification.
Councillor Phil, I would just ask for a very quick, literally 2-minute adjournment, just so that we can come together. We did say we wanted to be cross-party. We did say we weren't going to play party colours. It's obvious we're going to throw a little bit at each other because that's the nature of theatre of council. But we need to just do the business and get this done and get it over the line and save this National Glass Centre. That's all that matters.
Councillor Phil. Yeah, Councillor Phil, you've got a few minutes. Where's my clap? I'm just joking. Please continue. Councillors, please take your seats. Thank you. We will now vote on the Liberal Democrat amendment.
So if the vote could be opened now, please, and the division bell rung. So this is a vote on the Liberal Democrat amendment. Can the vote be closed now, please? There are 20 votes in favour, 1 abstention and 40 votes against, so the amendment is defeated.
Councillor Phil Tye.
We'd like to change the original motion with your permission, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to read that to you. It includes the insertion of a new paragraph 8, which I believe will be supported.
Councillor Phil Tye wants to alter his original motion. Councillor Denny Wilson, you're in agreement as the seconder.
Totally agree,
Okay.
Mr Mayor.
I will have to ask Council. Council, do you agree to allow Councillor Phil... Councillor Phil... Yes, of course. Councillor Phil Tye, will you please read out your alteration?
Yeah, I'll read the alteration. Hope I can come back just to explain it because the technical detail. So the new paragraph 8 would read exactly as it did say in the Liberal Democrat. So it would say, Council further resolves to ask the Chief Executive to write to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport to ask for further funding to save the National Glass Centre in its current location in order to safeguard it for current and future generations, and 2, ask the relevant portfolio holder to provide an in-person progress report on this matter to both full Council and the relevant scrutiny committee by June 2026.
Council, do you wish to allow the alteration of the motion?
So, Mr Mayor, that is now the substantive motion in front of the meeting, and we've received prior notice from Councillors Edgeworth and Mullen that they wish to speak on that.
Councillor Edge. Oh. Yep. Okay.
Sorry, was that did Councillor Hodson wish to speak as well?
Yeah. Do any of the councillors wish to speak? Councillor Andrew Woods. That's it.
So, Mr Mayor, the speakers are Councillors Edgeworth, Mullen, Hodson, Wood and Councillor Tye has the right of reply.
Councillor Edgeworth.
I'll defer to Niall Hodson. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Can I begin with a round of thanks? First of all, the reason we're all here, which is Carolyn, Nigel, Anne and Joe, for the work that they have done in leading the campaign group. I think they deserve a round of applause in their own right. Secondly, thanks to James Doyle, who came up with the idea of the Article 4 route, and I'm sure has given many officers a headache, even despite having not been a councillor for 3 years now. And then finally, and perhaps unusually, thanks to Phil Tye, because he has worked cross-party and he's steered the Labour group into a sensible position, and without him, the Glass Centre wouldn't have this opportunity. I only intend to speak briefly so that we can get to the vote on this, but it does need to be said that the opportunity for the Labour group to save the National Glass Centre has been presented to it multiple times. The Conservative group's original motion on the Glass Centre, the scrutiny call-in, which provided Cabinet a chance to reconsider, and the Article 4 direction has been available to the Executive throughout. Whilst Labour has finally seen the light on the National Glass Centre, this is clearly more because of the impending elections and not because of a genuine change in perspective. It isn't clear if the Labour group's leadership believes what the motion says. Indeed, he has left the room despite having signed the motion. What we also know is that Labour councillors, including the councillor for Roker, spoke in support of Michael Mordy's position only recently, and we know that because we routinely receive updates live from Labour group meetings. I do question whether it's sensible for Michael Mordy to have personally condemned the university, because the university has always been clear about its intentions and its inability to operate the Glass Centre. Higher education is under huge pressure, as is the entire education sector under the worst education secretary in the history of conscious thought. So it's understandable that the University of Sunderland couldn't continue to operate the NGC. But this was never a binary. It was never the case that we either had a university-run Glass Centre or no Glass Centre at all. Had Labour been on board more quickly, we'd have had more time to work out a plan for the long-term survival of the NGC, its staff and the skills that it houses. In reality, this week, the university has now formally begun the process of notifying staff that they are being made redundant, something which could have been avoided if the Labour Party had arrived at its current position sooner. It isn't the university that should be condemned, but the councillors who, despite privately supporting the National Glass Centre, chose to follow the Labour whip, withstanding all of the criticism being made of their indefensible position, only now to have to change what they're saying and to change their mind to the public. How appropriate that the leader appointed by Starmer should end his political career in the most Starmerite of ways, a humiliating U-turn. We do have some questions for the leader, and now that Michael Mordy has gone out of the room, I can see him directly. What conversations have taken place in relation to house building on the Glass Centre site? Has the council used non-disclosure agreements to disguise its interest in the BizSpace Centre and its land, and who has been issued gagging orders of this nature? Has the leader or anybody else on behalf of the council given prior notice to the university of the intention to instruct the imposition of an Article 4 direction? And can he confirm that as of today he has issued that instruction for the Article 4 direction? These are vital questions that need answers. I know the leader is outside, but perhaps in his absence, Phil can respond to them. I'm pleased that we're now in this position, but had we arrived here earlier, jobs could have been saved. They have now been lost, and it is your fault.
Councillor Niall Hodgson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sunderland. If I could momentarily take the council chamber to a parallel universe which exists in County Durham. It's in Gateshead. And throughout my time on the, growing up in the North East and on this council, I was genuinely inspired by, as a local politician, the leadership of Mick Henry, the Labour leader of Gateshead Council. And particularly the enlightened role he played in bringing a focus on cultural institutions and art institutions to that borough. It's thanks to his doggedness that the North East has things like the Angel of the North, the Sage Gateshead, the Baltic, the Millennium Bridge. What Mick Henry understood, I think, is that art and culture is so obviously a route to reinvigorate towns like Sunderland and Gateshead. It's an incredible legacy to have left Gateshead after, 10, 15 years. And then I look at the Gulf just down the road from Gateshead with what's been happening in Sunderland, where we have a national cultural institution that this council and then subsequently the university has sort of let run to rack and ruin. It's a failure of commitment and doggedness and belief in a goal of having a sort of strong cultural regeneration. I'm not blaming everybody in this chamber because it's longer than that, but we've let the city down. And you only have to look a short way up the road within the same county to see how it could have been done better. And the reason I bring this up, Mayor of Sunderland, is that what the Labour group have done in voting down our amendment and pushing forward this one is once again watering it down, reducing the commitment. It's softening an approach. We wanted an actual financial commitment. The Labour group are worried that it might offend Kim McGuinness or it might offend Sunderland culture. I could not care less. Apologise to them afterwards. But when you're apologising to them afterwards, you'll have no glass centre down the road. You know, we actually had a moment here to make a much firmer commitment. Now, the Liberal Democrat group will accept this watered-down amendment because it's better to have a thin gruel than no gruel at all. But I think when we're looking back at this moment, this will be one of those moments, as Paul said earlier, where we had an opportunity to make a firm commitment of change, and we've once again sort of scuppered it through a lack of courage and convincement in our own convictions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ward?
We had a chance, could have scored, rapturous applause from the fans. You could have run round with your shirts off. An homage to the visitors' away end would have been ecstatic. And yet what you've done is watered it down, scuffed the final chance. As Niall says, we'll agree with it, but agree with bitterness, like accepting a draw when you could have won. Thank you.
Councillor Philtai, you have the right of reply.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and it does give us a chance to see it. There's only one person nearly scuppered that motion. It was the Liberal Democrat group, and you didn't know. You only mentioned the Kim McGuinness bit, Niall, because we've just told you when we were in our little huddle together. You've actually made a mistake on your notice of motion because you indicated that all of that funding had came from the government and it hadn't half it had come from Kim McGuinness. So you should have actually had Kim McGuinness. Or the Come on, we've listened to each other eloquently all the way through, but let's be honest to the people sitting in the room, because it is difficult to try and work out all of the stuff that's happening between us. We're trying to do this cross-party. The ultimate is we've removed that. You know we have. We've just had the discussion. We're going to go and have to say what you say to try and blame the Labour Party, but you've made a mistake in this amendment because you've only accounted for 50% of the funding, which is 2.5 million from government, which actually then went to Sunderland Culture and didn't come to the council. So it's not within our control to divert funding or to ask for funding to be diverted from an organisation that isn't us. So that's the only reason. What we actually said within the huddle is that's not to say that this cannot be done later, that small element. So if we got to a point where...
Will you let... Can Councillor... you've had your turn to speak. You want him to give you answers. He's given answers. Councillor Philtai, please continue.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The point that we're making is if we get to a point where the university accept everything we've said tonight, decide not to go and do that, it's absolutely evident we would then be going to the Chief Executive to say we need to try and consider diverting this money that we have there for Glassworks to that because it's going to be saved in a different way. You don't want to sacrifice that yet. You've got to keep that aligned just in case, in your back pocket, anyone would have a plan B. What you suggested, there was no plan B, and we can't accept that. We have to have a plan B, and the plan B is, if this doesn't work, we're going to try and get what we have to do at Glassworks, and there's some funding there. We need much more to be able to do that. So that addresses that bit. Thanks very much for the words that you said, Councillor Mullen. I don't know if I'm doomed now that you've reaped praise on us in front of me group, but I'm going to repeat something that Denny Wilson said to us today when the Sunderland Echo rang him and wanted to go to take a photo of him. He rang us and said, "Phil, I've decided this is you. You're my new poster boy." So I'm going to pass it back to Denny, to be fair, because he ultimately is the one that upset the apple cart in forcing the Labour group to review its decisions, dig deeper, find out what was going on, and uncover what the university had told both us, yous, and every single resident in the city. That was a load of bollocks, what they've wrote in that report, and it's as simple as that. So now we're done. We've finished the theatre. Let's get the vote done and vote 100% in favour of the new notice of motion.
We will now vote on the substantive motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if the officer will ring the division bell and open the vote, please. So this is a vote on the motion as altered by Councillor Tighe. Can the vote be closed now? Wow. And there are 63 votes in favour, no votes against.
If the people from the Glass Centre campaign group want to leave the meeting, now might be a good point to do so. But if you want to stay, you can also do so.
Back to business. What we back to announcement.
Back to business, councillors. Oh, actually, I'll give a minute for the leader to come back in. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, can I have some clarifications? Given the council meeting started late, are we going to start from the 7 o'clock cut-off point? Is that going to be extended?
It's up to the councillors.
It's your meeting.
It's a public meeting, as you've just argued for. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I genuinely don't know what the will of the council is. Councillor Phil-Tighe.
Again, as a compromise, trying to keep this all compromise, I would suggest that we extend by the time taken, where we've done the hellos, goodbyes. That would seem like the sensible option. Extend that particular part of the time to the end of the meeting, not the whole lot we've just went through, because that is a bit crafty.
We're on item 5, announcements. We were taking speeches in order. Councillor John Price had spoken. So Councillor Jill Fletcher, do you want to speak? If you remember what it was about.
Yes, please, Mr Mayor, thank you. I want to speak about Peter. Now, what can I say about Peter? He's always the calming influence when I love a rant, finding the good in everyone, so I'm really going to miss that. Washington North has always been a close ward, so I hope we get the opportunity to carry on. Peter has been a great mentor. Although we have many memories and stories, some obviously we can't repeat, but 2 spring to mind. One was I hadn't long been a councillor. I'd been a councillor about 2 years, and Peter asked me if I'd go and see a lady because he didn't want to go on his own, and I said yes. And he said, well, I'll ring you 20 minutes after you've been there. So I was invited into this lady's house, and there was only one chair, plastic chair in the middle of the room, and she sat us down on it and started dancing around me. So 20 minutes went past, no Peter. 45 minutes later, Peter rang. I forgot. So I got out of that one. The second one, as many councillors will know, Peter's dad, Jimmy, once was invited down by a lady at Usworth to lie on her bed and wait for a train coming because it rattled the bed on the lines. So Jimmy's lying on the bed, and her husband came home and said, what you doing? He says, this has got nothing to do with me, I'm waiting for a train. Peter, 15 years later, was invited, somebody came to the surgery and said that they had a problem with the speed cushion, and would Peter like to go round and go up into her bedroom and wait for the bus coming, which he said no. He believed her. So I can't wait to see what Michael Walker's whether he's going to better him. So I'll finish on that, Mr. Mayor, but all I'll just say now is who's going to carry my handbag, Peter? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hodgson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sunderland. I do feel I've already spoken quite a bit at this meeting, but to quote Mohammed Salah, with whom my colleagues often compare me, unfortunately, the day has come, and this is the first part of my farewell. I don't think there are any Liverpool fans on Sunderland Council, but I was reading the BBC article about Mo Salah's retirement closely. It's a sort of poor man's focus newsletter, the BBC News website. And I was struck by the parallels and coincident timing of our departures. Tough but inevitable, the BBC said about Mo Salah's leaving Liverpool. And they said, there is little doubt, they continued, that despite the circumstances of his exit, he will get the fondest of departures. And at that moment, I felt at one with Mo, knowing that he has been embraced as fondly by the COP as I have in this council chamber over the years. I do feel sad to stand down from Sunderland Council and the Millfield ward, which I've represented for the last 10 years. I am enormously thankful to the residents of Millfield, Thornhill, Deptford, Pallion and the city centre who have sought fit to elect me on 3 occasions, and also to Stephen O'Brien, Paul Edgeworth and the Wearside Liberal Democrats who've supported me throughout that whole time. It's a wrench to leave County Durham, but my wife Francesca and I are moving to Westmoreland, where I'm now working. And I love campaigning in elections, and particularly local elections in Sunderland, so it is particularly galling to be leaving ahead of what I think will be one of the most interesting and historic elections in Sunderland's recent history. This year, sadly, is not just my retirement and that of Mo Salah. It is also the retirement of the Millfield ward, which has been cruelly deleted by the Boundary Commission. Now, there have been many great councillors for Millfield over the years, over the centuries, in fact. I don't count myself amongst them. I feel quite puny in comparison with them. One of them you might find is John Candlish. If you go to Millfield, in the heart of Millfield, you'll find Diamond Hall Park and John Candlish Road. It's thanks to John Candlish, actually, that Millfield pretty much exists. His bottle works, we've been talking about glass making at this meeting, his bottle works, Diamond Hall Bottle Works at Millfield, are the reason that a huge housing area sprung up in that part of Sunderland. John Candlish served as a Liberal councillor, as a mayor, as an MP. He must have had an extremely good focused delivery network, I can only assume. And what's amazing as well is that that distinctive housing that was built, the Sunderland cottages in places like Millfield, but also Southwick and Hendon, around that time in the mid-19th century, only survives thanks to the incredible efforts of another Millfield councillor, somebody who I admire greatly, would probably not appreciate me talking about them as a Liberal, but there was a councillor who represented Millfield in the 1970s called Norman Dennis. I've read his work avidly. Some of you probably know him or knew him. And he was a great stalwart of that area, and it was his resident-supported campaign that saved Sunderland cottages from the planners who were demolishing them in what was called slum clearance in favour of new build estates in places like Townend Farm and Pennywell. And he recognised the value of that sort of gentle density of places like Millfield that had grown up organically and had schools and shops and services to support them. And that what new estates were tearing away, it was that sort of heart of the community. It's something we should bear in mind whenever we're planning new housing developments, that they lack those essential services, that are actually what makes a community and what makes people love them so much. And actually, there's a brilliant passage, and this is genuinely one of my favourite books from my library at home. There's a brilliant passage in this where Norman Dennis, he's conducted this huge survey of people in Millfield, and he's talking about the difference of places like Millfield to places like Townend Farm. And I apologise for the councillors who represent Townend Farm, but this is a perfectly legitimate argument made by a very respected Labour councillor. And he's quoting a man from Millfield who says, "Look at Townend Farm and Millfield. There's only one place to have a drink in Townend Farm, the club. If it's crap at the club, then you have to travel to the Card Lad at Hilton Castle or the Shipwrights at Red House. He says, then goes on, there's no pub at all in Downhill. However, if it's a crap night at the Willow Pond, in 5 minutes you can walk to the Buffs in Rutland Street or to the Mountain Daisy or the Railway or the Millfield Club. And it would be all right for me, our correspondent writes. I could get my own transport. But my dad can't walk and he can only get as far as the Buffs. If you put him out to Townend Farm, you might as well just shoot him up in a rocket and let him orbit in outer space. It's a very good way of thinking about developments and the effect of destroying neighbourhoods that Norman Dennis fought so well to avoid happening in Sunderland. What I found really interesting about Norman Dennis as well, and I'm half the man and half the councillor he would ever be, was his dogged requests for transparency that made him not particularly popular with the Labour Party of the time. In particular, he had an insistence on conducting everything in writing. He hated the behind closed doors mentality of councils that he saw so much in the 1970s. What worries me is that here we are in 2026 and we're complaining about the same thing. But this is from his obituary in The Guardian. For Dennis, the transparency of action constituted the legacy of history, and he wanted everything to be, quote, on the record. And actually, I quote there Glenn Lyndon Dodds' obituary, which is also on one of my favourite websites, North East Labour History, saved in my bookmarks. It's clear to me that nobody in the Labour Party has learned from Norman Dennis since, and one thing I certainly won't miss about this council is that insistence on speaking to me behind closed doors. We should treasure this chamber as a forum for vigorous debate, and this is where we should argue things on the record, and I hope that the future of Sunderland Council will acknowledge that. Mayor, I am an unabashed fan of Millfield, and I hope you're indulging me with a slightly long speech.
I'll let you finish up. I'll just let you finish up this sentence.
Thank you. Because, Mayor Sunderland, I'm sure you too, as a resident of this fine ward, will miss it once it's gone. Hopefully it will one day return. I think as well as being my retirement, that of Mo Salah, that of Millfield Ward, it's all likelihood the retirement of Sunderland's Labour Council. It will be sorely missed. And very possibly the retirement of Sunderland's Conservative group. But I have no comment on that. Thank you, Mayor Sunderland.
Thank you. Thank you for your political balance as well, having a go at both groups. Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to speak very briefly to, on behalf of my group, wish everyone who is retiring well. In particular from Labour, I think it's a real shame that Councillor Scott and Samuels are standing down, two of their younger talents, but also among their funniest and cleverest councillors, and I wish them all the best for life outside of politics. I want to say a couple of things about my two councillors who are standing down. First of all, to Lynn, who is retiring after a long career in aviation. She became a councillor to serve St. Peter's. She had to be persuaded by Sam and Josh to stand in the first place. She was quite quiet and retiring, as everyone who knows Lynn will be aware, but has been an excellent councillor for the area. I'm sure she won't mind me saying that latterly this has involved quite a horrible incident with a stalker who has put her safety at risk, and even in spite of that, she's continued to serve the people of St. Peter's well, despite the threats that were made to her. So I'm sure we all wish Lynn the best in the future. Who'd have thought that Josh McKeith would be a young trailblazer who would defeat a former mayor, causing some stress to him on election night, and then subsequently winning comfortable re-election. He was only just eligible to stand for election. He turned 18 just before the 2019 council elections and has become incredibly popular within St. Peter's and was one of the first of many younger people that we got involved, like Lyle and Michael, for example. And yes, that's you. Again, I'm sure Josh won't mind me saying this. I did want Josh to stand again, and had he done so, he would have won. But unfortunately, as has been mentioned in a report to this council, Josh has some illnesses which are not assisted by this new building. He can't physically be in it, and he has chosen to stand down on the basis that he cannot physically be in the chamber and felt he was letting down his residents. I do think that that is something the council has to think about when there is an obvious barrier to people with conditions like Josh's from being able to actually participate in democracy. But again, obviously not here based on what I've just said, but we wish Josh well for the future. I do want to say one more thing, Mr. Mayor, which isn't about retirement, it's about you. I think, in spite of what people said a year ago, you have been the best, most independent-minded and most opposition-friendly mayor of my time as a councillor, and I think you have defied all of those critics.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mull. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to agree thoroughly with what my colleague, Councillor Mullin, said about yourself. I think you've been a credit to the city, and I've tried to support a few of your functions, like the other night at the, what's it called? It was the Maison something or other, but it was really nice, and you've been a credit to the city, so congratulations on that. Impartiality is something that an opposition group can only ask for. I'd like to wish my two colleagues, Lynn Vera and Josh, who isn't here, all the very best. Lynn's been a great supporter of the fire station. I think she's got a season ticket there. So we had Paul Callahan last week. That was part of my speech about how important that function, that building is. So best of luck. And Josh, as Anthony said, he was 18, I think he's doing his A-levels. He beat the retiring Mayor Barry Curran, good friend of mine. I liked him a lot. Good councillor, probably a chair of this or a chair of that. But it gave a lot of encouragement, I think, to young people, and anyone listening should bear that in mind. I'm sorry that Alex Samuels is leaving. We always have a nice little chat. We sometimes stray into national politics without falling out. Which is good, but I'm not going to say what we talk about. Also Peter Walker, who I had little chats with over the years, very nice lad, and very, very sorry to see him go. Ian Scott made the fatal mistake when he joined Planning and Highways with me to tell me that he was a Dunfermline Athletic fan. The reason being that I followed Scottish football for 30 years, and evidence of that was after a very, very hard week I've just had canvassing and in the New Grangetown Ward, truth be told. On Saturday, I went to see Queen of the South play East 5. Now, my wife used to think it was a midlife crisis, but when you reach the age of 75, you've passed midlife. So, but Ian made the mistake of talking about Dunfermline, and sadly, my memory is so good that I listed about half a dozen Dunfermline players who've come down to England, and every time I see him, we talk about football. But he's been a good lad on the Planning and Highways Committee, which is a good committee. I've had some very good chairs, and yeah, it's a nice, very impartial, though very difficult committee. So I'll miss you, Ian. Juliana Heron. I don't know what it is about that part of, the city, but there's some real doughty fighters there. We've had Florence Anderson, Jim Blackburn, Bob, husband, and Juliana. And she epitomises, I think, what's great about councillors, working hard in their ward. We've been on a few committees together. A very nice person, and I wish her all the very, very best in the future. So I'll just conclude by just asking Councillors Dodds and Mordy to bear in mind between now and election time that they should be answering questions that I've been asking them in the last few meetings. Councillor Dodds' question about scrutiny. It's so long ago I can't even remember what I asked you, but I knew I was in trouble because you called me Peter. But now, which Peter that's after, it could be Councillor Wood, but we don't know. But I would appreciate answers from you and Michael Mordy about scrutiny and about the airport between now and the end of, well, whenever we finish. So I'd like to wish you all the very, very best. I think we're at our best when we are collective as councillors, forgetting the party politics, and it's been a privilege to know you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dixon. Councillor Alex Samuels.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, colleagues. After 8 years of having the privilege to represent the people of Southwick, I'm standing here with a bit of a mixture of pride, gratitude, and if I'm honest, a real relief that I get my life back a bit after this. But when I look back over those 8 years, I'm so proud of what we've achieved together for Southwick and as a council for the City of Sunderland. I mean, for me, locally, one of the standout moments has got to be the £1 million regeneration of Thompson Park, working alongside the formidable North Area Committee. And the Friends of Thompson Park, we've transformed it, and it's completely unrecognisable to where I played as a child. We also saw major investment in the very historic Southwick Village Green, and the Southwick Village Green Preservation Society were absolutely instrumental. I'm sure some of them know every blade of grass by name and woe betide anybody who tries to brick or tarmac over any more of that grass. But the reality is, if 8 years ago you'd said they would be consistently winning Northumbria and Bloom Awards now in Southwick, you would have laughed. Nobody would have believed us, but that is the reality of where we are now. And finally, in terms of achievement, I have to talk, and if anybody's got the bingo card, we've got the SARA project now. The Southwick Altogether Raising Aspirations, which brought the police, the fire service, and so many of our partners together to transform Southwick. It's delivered, it is delivering, and it's being rolled out across the city. So I need to thank the Chief Executive, leaders past and present, for making that happen. It hasn't always been easy, but the results have been worth every minute. But what I'm proud of most is not about it's more about how those achievements have happened. They weren't done to the community, they were done with the community. Even as a Suddick and myself, I learnt the hard way of thinking I knew better and telling people what they needed. And there was a particular group very quickly told me I was wrong. Southwick's home to some incredible community groups that I've had the pleasure of working with, from the stalwart Southwick Neighbourhood Youth Project to the horticultural brilliance of people like Sunderland Homegrown and Just Let Your Soul Grow, to the schools and the churches that have long served, and they're just all too much to mention. The reality is the Southwick people have been at the heart and soul of every decision we've made, that teamwork and neighbourhood spirit have been central to it. I won't pretend for the last 8 years we're all smooth sailing, though. There's been disagreements, drama, and the occasional meeting where I've seriously questioned my life choices. And sometimes a real fight was needed, and I think it's safe to say I've probably battled with everybody in the chamber and in the council at some point or another. But every one of those moments came from a place of principle, integrity, and wanting the best for the community. I told the people of Southwick I would speak up for them and stand up for them, and I'm genuinely proud and confident to be able to see it, that I can. So to everybody I've worked alongside, the Labour group, the opposition, officers, my ward colleagues, Michael and Kelly, community groups, partners, volunteers and the residents, just thank you. I think the honesty, passion and humour have taken us and carried us and developed us through these last 8 years. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't loved it, but I am pleased to be going. But as a kid from Carley Road, representing Southwick's been the greatest honour of my life so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, you're a credit to your community, honestly. I think the amount of fighting you've done for your area, it's a bit of a running joke, how hard you fight, and I think most councillors in this room would agree. Councillor Phil Tighe.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and again, I'll very quickly say something about Councillor Samuels, seeing as she is the person that has to sit at the side of us and keep me under control on behalf of the party. To be fair, she does a fantastic job in that, and if I do come by, I haven't got a clue what's going to happen, who's going to be able to do the role that she's managed to do for the last 2 years. I also, obviously, every one of the Labour group colleagues that's retiring, I'd like to wish them well in the future, but I do want to point out, and she's not happy I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because she's not going to say something herself, and that's to say a few words about Councillor Sophie Clinton, who I know many of you on both sides of the chamber do like and respect her as well. She doesn't play that party political game. She has deep roots of what she believes around social justice and being a party member, but it's absolutely fair to say she hasn't enjoyed the role of a councillor. And it's something we don't often get to talk about, the nasty side of politics, the side of threats and intimidation. And I'm not going to go into lots of details, but as a young female, when you're living on your own, and we all got the email to say that there was someone going around some of our houses, and the fear and intimidation of that when you're a young female is not acceptable. And for that to ruin a career of an upcoming young female politician, whatever party, is not acceptable. We should take a step back, think about that, and the rise of some of the parties that's coming up as well need to take a step back and have a think about that as well, because you're spreading some of this, you're causing some of this to happen. Remember, we are just deep normal people when we leave this chamber, when we've stopped doing the theatre of being here. Actually, what matters, doesn't matter what your party colour is, you will just do your best for your residents, and that's all that matters. So I would just appeal to anybody to remember that, and I wish Sophie the best outside of council. It's really sad that we're losing her. She'll be deeply missed by the people of Silksworth, but thanks for your commitment, Sophie. Thanks for what you've done.
Thank you so much, Phil, and thank you, Sophie, for your amazing contribution to this council and this city. Councillor Michael Modi.
Thank you very much. Mr Mayor, just to add my voice to the tribute to the retiring members on both sides of the chamber. Each one of them, in their own unique way, has made a lasting contribution to the proceedings of the council and to the communities in which they serve. I just want to pick out a few specifics to say about a few of our colleagues, and starting with Sophie. Sophie's been on the council now for a couple of years, and she's been a breath of fresh air. She has brought fresh ideas and a attitude of positivity and the ability to speak her mind and tell you exactly what she thinks is fantastic. So I wish Sophie all the way, and to absolutely echo everything that Councillor Ty said. Politics can at times be a rough and tumble affair, but the abuse politicians get, particularly female politicians get, is absolutely abhorrent, and we all should call it out at every single opportunity. And for that to extinguish a rising political future in what Councillor Clinton could have done on this council, I'm deeply annoyed by that, Mr Mayor, and we all need to do better. But to thank Sophie for her contribution. Mr Mayor, moving on to Councillor Juliana Herron. I've known Juliana for, I would say, getting on for 20 years now. I first campaigned for Juliana before I was a councillor in the old Coptail ward. She's been a friend and a mentor to me and to many others in the Labour group. She was a formidable former chair of the Labour group when I first joined the group, and I just want to wish Juliana the best in her retirement. It's very well deserved, and she will be a miss to the council, to the people of Houghton and to the council, Mr Mayor. Also to say a few words about Councillor McKeith. Josh has been a brilliant councillor. We've served on a number of boards together, particularly at the Port Board. He's always been an honourable councillor and says it as it is, and has represented his community well. And I wish Josh all the best for the future, whatever he decides to do. Mr Mayor, and finally, just touch on Councillor Peter Walker. Again, similar to Councillor Herron, I've known Peter for getting on for 20 years now. He has absolutely represented the people of Washington North and the people of Washington admirably. He had big shoes to fill in the contribution that his dad made to the council, and he's absolutely lived up to that. He will be a miss to the people of Washington. I just want to thank Peter for his contribution to the council. And finally, Mr Mayor, just two of my closest friends on the group, Councillor Alex Samuels. She is a formidable advocate for the people of Southwick. She's made me a better councillor. She's made me a better campaigner. And I'm sad to see her go. Her legacy will live on in the Sara project. We see in that idea that was championed by Alex and by the Southwick councillors now being rolled out and having an impact, not just on the initial 6 streets in Southwick where it started, but now that's having an impact in 6 communities right across the city. And it's in large parts due to Alex's tireless advocacy. And the phone often would ring and I would see Alex's name pop up and I'd go, oh God, what do you want now? But she always had the best for Southwick in her heart, and she will be an absolute miss to the council and to the Labour group, Mr Mayor. And to Councillor David Newey, he's absolutely been a stalwart representative of the Roker ward. He tried and tried and tried and ultimately succeeded to represent that ward. Again, he's made a lasting contribution to not just the Sunderland Central Labour Party and our campaigning, but also to the Labour group. So on behalf of everyone on the Labour group, I wish everyone who's retiring well. You've all made lasting contributions, and thank you very much for your service. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Leader. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I want to say a huge thank you to all outgoing councillors from all colours across the chamber. It's been delightful working with many of you, not so much others, but anyway, you know, you represent your people and that's all you can do. I want to speak about Councillor Alex Samuels, who many will know is my cousin. She was born in Carley Road, as she's mentioned, which is right in the heart of the People's Republic of Southwick. And it's a really tough place to grow up. So Southwick had to produce tough women, and that it did. As many people will know, I've been involved in martial arts for most of my life, for over 30 years. And I suffered my first defeat at the hands or feet of Councillor Alex Samuels in a kickboxing tournament which took place on Southwick Green, not outside the tramcar yard, above Azad, which was a video store, if you remember, which was incidentally hit by a plane in World War I. She defeated us there. But what went on was a legacy, a collegiate working together, and it was all for the people of Southwick. And she was just so passionate in everything she does. And I'm sure some people would change the word passionate. She kept me in line, just as she kept Phil in line as well. And I'm a little bit worried, Mr Mayor, because I'm not sure who else will keep me in line. And that's a very dangerous thing, to be honest, Mr Mayor. One thing I would say is about the lineage where Alex comes from. We come from quite a tough family, and, you know, my Auntie Denise would be so proud. She was, I'll say, really tough, but I won't go into the stories. She once filled me dad in on Southwick Green for acting himself, even though they were best friends and cousins. We've already mentioned some of the victories of Councillor Samuels, one being the Sarah project, which has expanded across the city. And again, for those that's playing the Southwick Bingo, Thompson Park. And what we will see, Mr Mayor, is more of this moving forward, because she thinks she's on her way. I can tell you now, she's going nowhere. She will continue to campaign and champion for the people of Southwick. And you never know, Mr Mayor, she might keep me in line, but that's a big might. Thank you very much.
Councillor Paul Edgeworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and from our group, wish everyone who is retiring or is about to be retired by the electorate well. I just wanted to say a few words about my friend Niall Hudson, who was the first Liberal back on this council in 2016 and holds a very special place in our party. I think the most important thing you can say about him is that he's hugely respected by residents in Millfield and Thornholme. Even if they disagree with him or don't vote for him, they respect him, and I think that's the best thing you can say about any councillor in this place. It's not about what your party thinks or what people in here think. It's what the people who vote for us and we represent think, and I think he is hugely respected and will leave a huge legacy in the city and in Millfield and Thornholme. He is one of our top door knockers and campaigners, so very sad to be losing him from the team. And as you have seen tonight, he's undoubtedly the best speaker in this chamber. I think probably the most prized attribute in the Lib Dems is somebody who annoys Labour and gets under their skin, and I think I'd give him that accolade too. And I'm sure he would hold that up as one of his achievements in this chamber, certainly. He's always true to his liberal and not social democratic values. He's been a champion in the vein of one of his heroes, as he was saying, of openness, transparency, scrutiny, decency at this council, and in really putting residents first and trying to make sure from opposition that this council puts residents first and really delivers for them. I think his tenacious campaigning from opposition over the last decade has really made Sunderland Council, Sunderland Labour Group up their game, especially when he started off there was no effective opposition, and he now has a huge group across many wards and growing, and that will be his Liberal legacy to this city, but he has made this council and the Labour Group up their game undoubtedly, and that is for the benefit of residents and for politics and for scrutiny and for transparency in this city, and he leaves Sunderland, this council, Millfield and Thornholme, Liberalism and the Liberal Democrats in this city in a far better place. I want to say a big thank you to Niall Hudson. Thanks.
Councillor Thornton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. First of all, I'd like to pass my kind regards on to Josh McKeith. Josh and I were elected together in 2019, and over the years we have become friends. At one point, I thought that he may become my son-in-law, but that romance did not blossom very far. I think my girls adopted the stance that I have, that I'd never kiss a Tory. But I would like you to pass on. I would like you to pass on my love and best wishes for Josh. He is a sterling young man. To this side of the room. Councillor Herron. I've known Councillor Herron since I was a child. She actually went to school with my mother. And Councillor Herron and Bob and Glenn, their son, were instrumental in me joining the Labour Party Young Socialists when I was 14. So, because of that, I thank Juliana and Bob, who have been my mentors for many years, and they were very instrumental in me joining the Labour Party a long time ago and becoming a councillor. And I thank them for their stewardship, and I wish them both very well. They should put their feet up, but I know they'll probably just go to New Zealand. Councillor Mason Gage is a very good human. And I'm going to miss you, Catherine, in this position, because we have had very, very great conversations where we put the world to rights, and she's a fantastic feminist, loyal friend, and I thank you for that friendship and comradeship over the years, darling. Councillor Scott, I'll leave you till last. Councillor Scott is a giant amongst men, not only in stature, but in heart. We've been friends for a long time, and I count his beautiful parents as very good friends of mine as well. I'm sorry, Ian. I hope that me championing you to become a Labour councillor was a good choice. I think you have grown. Not that you could grow much bigger, like, but you know. I think you have grown as a person, if not only for all of those hours we've spent together on our journeys from heaven together. I will miss you in this role, but you won't get shot of me as a friend. We will be friends for life, and I admire you, your integrity and your ear. I thank you for that. Our time on planning was very interesting, and Councillor Scott always stole the headlines. We did have a little wager from time to time as to who would, and sometimes Councillor Herron won that one, but Councillor Scott always came up trumps on the headlines in the Echo. So I wish you well for the future. Lots of love.
Thank you very much, Councillor Thornton. You turned many faces red there. Councillor Burrow.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So where do I start with describing my colleague, Councillor Herron? A person we all call Queenie and all look for advice to and support. A person who has directed the spend of the Coalfields Committee for decades into making our communities better, especially for our most vulnerable residents. Councillor Herron is a person, when you walk around town with her, don't expect to get anywhere quickly. It's not because of our mobility, just expect to get stopped and stand listening to her converse when people about all sorts of subjects. It was during one of those slow walks down New Bottle Street that a resident said to Juliana, "Is that your son?" I don't know if you remember, but I replied, I said, "No, but she's my political mum." That's how Juliana has been to me for the last 4 years. Yes, she's told me off. Yes, we've had discussions where a colleague or a resident has rung her because I've upset them. And you've told me off in a tone like a mum telling a child off. And most of the time, I probably deserved it. Campaigning with Juliana, well, what can I say? It's hard work. She'll be at the same house for ages chatting away whilst the rest do the street or the door knocking. I recall one such incident on Avenue Vivian during the last election. She'd been with a resident for ages, just start making your way back to the group. Suddenly out the house where you'd been for ages, a woman come racing out the property, "Juliana, Juliana." We all turned round to say, "What was going on?" "We've just scored," was the message. Sunderland were playing away, and we were getting score updates as we were going down the street. Everyone knows her love of Sunderland Football Club. She's a proud season ticket holder. I bet you enjoyed the derby, didn't you? Eh? Oh, yes. Yes, yeah. So when planning our campaign, then we always had to look to the fixture list to avoid clashes when the home games. I hope you enjoy your retirement. It's well deserved. I know we were joking about signing you up as a candidate somewhere. You've been very careful about what you're signing, I've heard.
I'm not signing anything.
Yeah. So hopefully with you being at home more, Bob might come start leafleting for a bit more maybe as well. Yeah? No, I'm sure I'll see you at branch meetings and CLP meetings in the future, and I just hope you have a great retirement. Okay? Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am.
Councillor Ian Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Thanks. First of all, thank you very much to Councillor Thornton, Councillors Anthony Mullen and Councillors Dixon for their very, very kind and humbling words. I really do appreciate it. It's been an honour to have been elected to represent Hetton since 2020, the first year of which with Hetton Town Council and then latterly for Sunderland City Council. Firstly, I'd like to thank the electorate of the Hetton Ward for putting their faith in me over the years. And I hope in that time that you felt I've repaid your faith with the actions and I've delivered for you in that time. Politics was never really on my sort of radar when I was growing up, but a strong sense of community was always instilled from me, from my parents, and taking part in active community organisations such as Scouting, which my family and I are still actively involved in today. This active sort of community life and combined with the sudden loss of my father in 2019 led to a keen desire to continue and upscale my sort of community work and focus, including this as some sort of long conversations with Councillor Thornton about becoming a councillor and some healthy badgering by a long-time family friend and activist, Charlie Bell, as well. Tracy, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. I moved to Hetton in 2001, despite a local Facebook page well known to everybody in this council reporting that I'd been parachuted in from the old country as drinking buddy to the current leader at the time. Safe to say I'd only met him once at that point, and now to say that he's a firm friend of mine as well. Hetton's a place that on the face of it can appear quite intimidating the first time you get there. If you're not from the area or you've got no links or connection to it. And this kind of proved so when my dad walked into the local pub at the end of the street for the very first time. It's kind of like an origin story, this, if you like. Upon walking into the pub, he was greeted by one of the local members there, who'd, you know, there's many Pearson stairs, like the hills have eyes kind of thing, and whispering amongst the locals. And a few more minutes had passed and my dad was furnished with a beer, and one of them approached him to say, in a very shrill and piercing tone, "Is't thou the Polis? Is't thou the vat man?" Upon which he's no, and they just kind of let him be, and eventually he was integrated into sort of into the community as a result of that, and ever since that's been the warm, accepting and incredible place that Hetton has been to me and my family across the years. The kind of tenuous link to our council here is the man that approached my father that day is a family link of this gentleman right here, Councillor James Blackburn, and where on earth can I even start to mention about the impact that this gentleman has had on my life and certainly my time and tenure as a councillor. James possesses a plethora of knowledge about the council and its history, as well as seemingly knowing absolutely everybody in the Hetton and Easington Lane areas. Many relations and many great people there. It's an absolute testament to the character of the man, and I hold him in the highest regard, almost like a political father figure. He's always been there to support me across my time in council, And he's always been a keen listening ear and providing excellent advice when it's required, even through some of the difficult political times as well. This council is very, very fortunate to have Councillor Blackburn here, and equally I've been more fortunate to have him as a ward colleague for the last 4 years. And I can't pass on this opportunity to mention Claire. Councillor Cowrantry is a massive miss. Much like James, she'd always have the time to help and support, despite an incredibly busy agenda as a deputy leader at the time. We share many common interests and our political views consistently aligned. And, you know, if you can always bet that if Claire set out to do something, she would absolutely do all she could to get out there and achieve that. And Elmore Park is the living proof of that. It's her lasting legacy to the residents of the Hetton ward and the wider city. But I'll always remember the most fond memory I have of Claire is turning up to LCAP one day in Easington Lane in the morning and afterwards planning some door knocking or street surgery afterwards. She noticed I looked a little bit more stressed than usual, and she went, nope, enough's enough. I'm taking you for a coffee. So we went to Hetton Lions Country Park, sat down. I spilled out my heart to her at that point with everything that was going on. And she said, and this is the line that will always stay with me, it's okay to turn off the tap sometimes. And it's something that I've absolutely carried forward. Family's the reason that I sort of joined the council, if you like, and I was encouraged to do so. And in twofold, it's family's the reason that I'm standing down as well. The political family of a site I aligned myself with over the many years nationally has most certainly lost its way. And there's current policies and positions that are not reflective of the kind of place, the values I hold as a person and as a councillor. Therefore, I feel like my political position is untenable, therefore standing down at the next election. I'll also be leaving the Labour Party post-election also. And those that know me best will know that I've consistently given up my time and resources to the betterment of others, sometimes to my own detriment. These people will know in the last 12 months that I've worked on my own happiness an awful lot. And I'm delighted to say that I've now found that with my new partner, Natalie, and our two wonderful children, Max and Kit. I'll be spending far more time with them, as well as my long-suffering mother, sister and her partner, whose support throughout this political journey has been constant and unwavering. In closing, we're very fortunate to have a wonderful set of diligent officers in our corps who are dedicated to the best outcomes of this city. And I'd like to thank each and every single one of you for what you contribute to the city and its success. In particular, I'd like an honorary mention to the Planning and Highways Committee, who I've become incredibly fond of during my time on that committee, and I'll generally miss.
Ian, I'll just let you wrap up. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I've got two few more lines left. Thank you. I'll generally miss you in deliberating across the key city developments. There's lots of individuals I'd like to say thank you to, of course, but I fear we'll be here all night if I do so, as you've adequately outlined. Thank you to you all, the members of this council across all sides of the political spectrum. It's been a privilege to serve with you, to sometimes butt head with you, and to advocating the pros and cons of certain policies and approaches. It's also been a privilege to often bump into some of you out and about for a few beers too, and I hope to do so again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian, for your contribution and your contribution over the years to the council, and for your friendship with myself as well. Councillor Sean Laws, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I will do. Oh, sorry, I've turned it off. I haven't actually written anything because I wasn't planning to say anything, but I thought that I'll try to say it. I thought that I wanted to say something on behalf of Claire, as she isn't here to say it herself. There are lots of people in this chamber. I'll go back a second before I do that. Before being friends with Claire, I was actually friends with Jeff Walker, her dad. And Jill used to often bump into us when we were out for a pint somewhere. And Jeff said to me, I said to Jeff, one time, Jeff, you know, I don't think people will have any idea that we're friends. And he said, that's fine. They don't need to know that. Just keep it quiet. It's fine. And in the same way, I think that quite a lot of people probably didn't realise that Claire and I were friends. But what we did was we spoke on the phone on a nearly daily basis about all manner of things. And she said to me that what she had done previously was she had spoke to her dad about things that she needed advice on and how she should, you know, what way she should go, and just generally talking things through. And I had ended up taking that position. I mean, God forbid that I'm the person that you seek advice from, but that's what she did. And so we spoke quite regularly, and indeed Claire had opinions on everything and probably everyone in this chamber. But what I wanted to say is that a great deal of the people across this chamber she had massive regard for, and a great deal of respect for. She spoke very highly of Harry. She spoke, this is not an exhaustive list, I'm just mentioning some people. She spoke very highly of Harry. She spoke very highly of Mel, and I know you might not entirely but have thought that, but she always spoke very highly of Mel in terms of being a knowledgeable and passionate and principled person. And I have to agree with her on that. You know, she always spoke very highly of Linda. She spoke very highly of Paul Stewart. She spoke very highly of Michael Dixon, of Paul Gibson, of Paul Edgeworth. She spoke very, very highly of lots of people around here, and it would also be remiss of me not to mention, as the portfolio holder for environment, to mention Mark Morley, who she also spoke very, very highly of at all times. I just wanted to say that Claire thought she was lucky to have a ward colleague like James Blackburn to learn from, and those things have already been said. The two people that I wanted to end on, first of all, was Alex Samuels, because I think it's fair to say Alex acknowledged as well that, you know, there's probably been clashes with everybody, and I can certainly say that I've been one of those people, probably as much my fault as anybody else's. But I certainly have come to have huge respect for Alex and for your ability as a councillor, as a campaigner, and the commitment and passion that you have. Claire used to speak to me a lot about the time that she spent on scrutiny with you, and of seeing the ability that you had. She spoke enormously highly of you. And of course, the person to finish on would be Ian. I don't think that I need to say anything more than anybody else around the room has already said about Ian. Ian's a wonderful person, and like Alex, a massive loss to this chamber, to this council, to the Labour Party as well. I think you know what Claire felt about you. You know how I feel about you. We will continue to be friends. I wish that Claire was here to continue that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no further announcements. I'd like to thank those members who have given notice of their wish to speak. If any member who hasn't given prior notice wishes to speak at any point during the meeting, they should please raise their hands to indicate. Councillor Juliana Heron.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Now, don't be frightened. Don't be frightened. You've got all this...
Councillor Juliana Heron, of course I will respect your right to speak. You didn't give prior notice, mind, but of course, please feel free to speak.
I'd just like to thank all my ward colleagues and everybody in here and the opposition as well. But I've been on the council now for 30 years. We're in the old City Hall. We had some really, I would say, like Margaret Forbes. The only thing about Margaret, she reminded me of Margaret Thatcher, and I wasn't a great friend of Margaret Thatcher. And then Winnie Lundgren. I mean, Mark Greenfield, he knows Winnie. But once, she was in a wheelchair, and she was talking to Bob. And as Bob was nearly down the stairs, Winnie was following him in the wheelchair. But it was, you know, I've been thinking a lot lately of the past councillors and the present. I've trained two of my ward colleagues very well, I think. They say I be bullied, but I don't bully. I'm going to miss the council, but when I'm away next week in Malta, I'll probably not think about anybody, but it's time for me and Bob, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make the best of it. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Juliana. When I was first elected, I sat next to you in my first committee. You held my hand and you'll say, don't worry, son, I'll guide you through this. So, yes. I know you're going to Malta, but my election's coming up, so you'll come back in time for that, won't you? I've got 1,000 leaflets. No problem. No, not just for her. We now move on to the leader's update.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Can I move a motion without notice under Rule 14.11 of the Rules of Procedure to proceed to the next business so we can hear petitions and questions from members of the public, which I feel are a better use of the remaining time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr Mayor, Councillor Walker had indicated he wanted to speak.
Please.
Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It will not take long. It was really just in Councillor Fletcher. 20 years ago, she talks about something that I forgot, and she's never let me forget about that. But all I wanted to do, Mr Mayor, was really to stand up and say thank you first and foremost to the residents of Washington North Ward who have kindly kept me in this position for 22 years. The same people that kept my father in the same ward for over 40 years, and I hope my nephew can continue that. I would also like to just thank everybody within this chamber, to be honest, regardless of colours. And I truly wish you all the best in here, because unfortunately the potential predicted results would look a lot worse than what we have now. So I do wish everybody the very best, regardless of colours or allegiance. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank some of the best officers I've had the privilege to work with. Too many to mention, but I will mention the officer I'm working with at the minute, Lisa Ketley. She's a new member of staff, and she's doing a tremendous job. And obviously, I thank my ward colleagues for putting up with us all the years. But finally, Mr Mayor, I would like to just mirror what was mentioned about your good self. I've seen a lot of mayors in the chamber, and you're the youngest mayor. I must admit, no disrespect to the mayors have been great, but you've been unbelievable. I'd just like to congratulate you, Mr Mayor, on that. And that's what I say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your kind words. Councillor Paul Edgeworth, do you still wish to have a point of order?
Yes, please. Sorry, under Rule 14.11 of the Rules of Procedure to proceed to the next business. Thank you.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Councillor McDonough.
Mr Mayor, through you, could I just clarify, is that a variation of the order of business that
Just to
Councillor
proceed
Edgeworth...
to the next, so we don't have the leader's update and just go straight to petitions and subsequent business.
I will put that to a vote. Leader, did you want to come in?
Yeah, just to say, Mr Mayor, this is just wasting more time than he's trying to save, because we're going to get through the petitions and everything anyway. So if you want to waste the time to save some time, it's ironic, but yeah.
I'm glad I've annoyed you. Thanks.
Do you know what? We'll put this to a vote by show of hands to save time.
Can I request a recorded vote? Under Rule 18.31C of the Rules of Procedure. Thank you.
We will now have
Second.
an electronic vote.
So could the vote be opened, please? Just to clarify, members are voting in respect of the motion from Councillor Edgeworth. And if the vote could be closed, please. (22 votes in favour, 1 abstention and 36 against. So the motion's defeated.
Thank you very much. We now move on to the Leader's update. Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Just a few things for me, but when I start, could I just add my voice to those who have paid tribute to your chairmanship of this council, in particular the circumstances in which you took the chair and the orchestrated abuse that you received in them early days, which was absolutely disgusting. You've absolutely lived up to the chain you wear around your neck, and you're a credit to the Labour Party and a credit to the council, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, having recently agreed the updated city plan along with the budget earlier this month, it's led me to reflect not just on what's been achieved in the past couple of months, but throughout 2025-2026. And the fact we've adopted and begun delivering a number of major strategies that will shape a fairer, healthier and more prosperous future for our communities. From our new child poverty strategy to the refreshed Healthy City Plan, and from the Community Safety Plan for Sunderland to the Stronger Community Strategic Framework coming back to Cabinet tomorrow for final approval, each represents a significant step forward and a real commitment in tackling the challenges our residents face and unlocking the opportunities they deserve. Mr Mayor, significant opportunities at each of these initiatives that I now will go on to mention are creating right across the city for all of our residents and communities. Mr Mayor, our regeneration ambitions continue to move forward with further government support for the Varks housing scheme, where £680,000 of new funding will accelerate infrastructure for the next phase of the high-quality, low-carbon homes in the heart of Riverside, Sunderland. This is central to our mission to repopulate the city centre and create a vibrant, sustainable community. In addition to the progress at Riverside, Mr Mayor, we have also secured another major boost to our economy and our growing creative industry sector. At Cabinet 2 weeks ago, at the North East Combined Authority, confirmed £38.5 million funding for the Crown Works studio development, which construction is expected to begin by July. This formed part of a record £350 million package of investment by NECA across the region, which also saw Cabinet approve a series of measures that will directly benefit Sunderland residents, from improved bus services through the next steps in the bus reform and franchising scheme assessment, to new investment in green jobs, enhanced adult skills provision, and support for our cultural and creative economy. Together, these decisions represent a significant vote of confidence in Sunderland's future and will help ensure our communities feel the impact of this investment through better transport, stronger local employment opportunities and greater access to skills and training. Mr Mayor, I was absolutely delighted to receive notification from the government that the Washington Town Board plan has been approved and that the delivery of the £25 million investment over the next 10 years can begin in Washington. This comes on the back of the start of the process to recruit the independent chairs for the Hendon and East End and Thorny Close Plains Farm and Springwell Pride in Places Fund. And I was delighted to see that the £1.5 million boost through the Pride in Place funding has been allocated to Houghton, and that the local shopping areas at Easington Lane, Shiny Row and Fence Houses, as well as Houghton, will receive investment through that £1.5 million boost, Mr Mayor. In total, £66.5 million worth of investment by the Labour government into our areas across each part of the city of Sunderland. Mr Mayor, Sunderland continues to be recognised nationally and internationally as a leading smart city. Our digital inclusion work recently received an Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Award. We were also featured globally through the Blueprint for Livable Economies, launched at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And this month, Sunderland hosted the first ever AI City Exchange event, bringing together industry leaders and innovators to showcase how artificial intelligence can drive better services, smarter infrastructure and inclusive digital growth. Sunderland is also being recognised on the global stage for its smart city leadership, with the city featured in a major new international report launched at the World Economic Forum. This blueprint for livable economics highlights Sunderland's innovative approach to digital transformation and its commitment to creating a connected, inclusive city that leaves no one and nowhere left behind. And I would like to place on record my thanks and appreciation to Councillor Alison Smith, and but particularly to the Chief Executive, who has particularly led this work. It's going to absolutely have a transformational impact on our community right across the city. Mr Mayor, a drive which resulted in hundreds of Sunderland school children being able to tuck into free school meals they're entitled to is to be repeated this spring. The Free School Meals Entitlement Campaign previously helped 657 more children receive the support they were entitled to by removing barriers and proactively identifying eligible families. The campaign has already delivered more than £1.1 million in support to households across the city, and I'm pleased to see it running again this spring, ensuring no child misses out on a healthy meal or the widest support available during difficult times, Mr Mayor. The apprenticeship recruitment fair held at City Hall in February was a major success and drew 1,500 attendees eager to explore the wide range of apprenticeship opportunities offered across Sunderland City Council services and partners. It truly was inspiring, Mr Mayor, to see the residents of the city come who want to work directly for the council and then provide those services to communities across the city. Mr Mayor, we continue to invest in improving health and well-being across the city. Over the past 14 months, 144 professionals completed our warm and dry damp and mould training, boosting early identification and improving health and housing outcomes for residents. We continue to strengthen our support for residents most in need. In January, our housing options team were able to expand the service offer with the opening of the Towered Road facility, providing 7 new supported temporary accommodation bed spaces with 24/7 staffing alongside new provision at the Mill House in Southwick. We also enacted the severe weather emergency protocol recently, ensuring every identified homeless individual had a safe place indoors during the recent cold weather. And I'm delighted to share that tomorrow Cabinet will consider updated private sector housing enforcement policies to make sure we're fully prepared for the new duties in the Labour's Renters' Right Act 2025. These updates will give us stronger powers to deal with poor and criminal landlords, introduce tougher penalties and tighten up the HMO licensing conditions. This is about doing what residents expect us to do, raising standards, protecting tenants and giving our officers the clear tools they need to act quickly and fairly across the city. Mr Mayor, our cultural offer continues to grow in ambition with Stages Festival launch a contemporary underground rave event, Faster on Friday, taking place this Friday in the atmospheric and award-winning Riverside car park at Farringdon Row. The event will transform the multi-level car park into a high-energy music space, bringing one of the most unique music experiences the city has ever hosted. Mr Mayor, effectively bringing it live from places like Las Vegas to Deptford. And I wish I had time to attend, Mr Mayor. It would truly be a remarkable event. Meanwhile, the redevelopment of the museum and winter gardens continues to gather momentum, following an additional £500,000 grant from the Woolston Foundation. This new funding will support enhancements to gallery displays, interpretation and community learning, helping to widen access to the museum's scientific and living collections, particularly for young people, families and schools. The grant builds on the £5.2 million secured last year from the National Lottery Heritage Fund and forms part of a wider £13.6 million 4-year transformation that will deliver a new entrance in Mowbray Park, refreshed exhibition space, improved public areas and a new community learning hub called the Growing Space. Mr Mayor, last week we launched the Beat the Streets campaign in Hendon and Grangetown for the first time. This free fun initiative encourages walking, cycling and scooting across the community with 20 interactive beat boxes across the area and full of involvement from local schools and community groups. Mr Mayor, it's also been reported that the LGA's Corporate Peer Challenge highlighted the strong leadership, a clear long-term vision and major regeneration successes, including Riverside, Sunderland and IAMP. The review also praises the high-performance services at the Council, with the children's services rated outstanding and adult social care rated good. The report sets out 6 improvement recommendations and the Council will publish an action plan by April 2026 with a progress review later in the year. Mr Mayor, that brings me to the conclusion of my update. The only thing I would just add on, we had a really enjoyable event in the Chamber last week where 2 phenomenal people received the honour of Freedom of the City in Sister Mary Skleska and Paul Callaghan. And people will see the Cabinet agenda tomorrow. We're going to confer the Freedom of the City again on another worthy individual in Josh Kelly, the boxer. And I would just like to place on record my thanks to Councillor Bernacle and to Councillor Butler, 2 people who lobbied me to bring that forward. And I'm sure I look forward to a future event where we can recognise a major sporting talent we have in the city, which comes on the back of an amazing victory at St James's Park with the football club doing the double over our local rivals. It really is a good time for sporting achievements in the city. Sunderland is a city on the up, Mr Mayor, so let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul, you have the right to 2 questions. You might want to forfeit that, or you might want to go ahead. It's up to yourself.
Definitely not. The leader mentioned a recruitment fair. Did he spot any good opportunities for his Labour colleagues looking for new positions on the 8th of May?
Mr Mayor, I'm absolutely confident that every single Labour councillor will be returned at the polls who are standing, because it's the Labour Party in this city that is driving forward the regeneration, that is bringing forward the once-in-a-generation regeneration, that is supporting communities right across the city, that will be recognised at the ballot box, because it's only the Labour Party that's delivering for Sunderland.
It's not what Fiona Miller or Ian Scott think, is it? Clearly. The leader mentioned the latest rehash and downgrade of the Crown Works proposals. If the original Crown Works proposals were absolutely crazy, which the powers that be are now trying to gaslight us into believing, why were we only told this now when the final private sector partner has pulled back and yet more taxpayers' money is having to be poured in to a hugely scaled back scheme? Thanks.
Mr Mayor, the Liberal Democrat Party take every opportunity to talk this city down. Even Leo Pearlman, in his recent press comment, says that the plans for the original plans, which were full Wolves plans that we supported as a council, were always going to be delivered in a phased approach. We went to the market, we spoke to the market, and we've got a plan that's fully funded that will, once it's complete, this time next year, Mr Mayor, will deliver the biggest film and TV studio anywhere in the north of England, delivering jobs and opportunities for people right across Sunderland and right across the region. I just wish it had the support that it's got from behind me and from the Labour group, from the parties opposite, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Anthony Mullen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I do have tickets to the car park rave. Yeah, I do. When I asked him the first question when he introduced the leaders' update, he said that he would be willing to be honest about things, even if they were difficult. The new money announced for Crown Works is no such thing. Over 60% of it is the money that Jeremy Hunt announced several years ago. And the £20 million Pride in Place for Washington that he just announced is a rebranding of the £20 million plans for towns funding, also announced by the Conservative government. So will he be honest and say that these are just rebrandings of money that has already been allocated and announced several years ago?
Mr Mayor, in relation to the Washington Town Fund, that was absolutely correct. The Labour government carry forward the original version of the scheme. We've significantly expanded it with the Pride in Places funding, so that the Washington Town Fund was allocated previously, but as I say, it's been expanded significantly to other areas of the city. But on Crown Works, Mr Mayor, there's a difference between a press release and actually budgeting. The Labour Party was elected in July 2024, we inherited a £22 billion black hole, Mr Mayor, that funding was not budgeted for in the government's finances, and it was up to Rachel Reeves and myself as leader and Kim McGuinness to lobby Rachel Reeves, and that money was then reappointed by the Labour government, and that's why we're here today, because we got backing from a Labour government, a Labour mayor and a city council to deliver a project that he didn't want Jeremy Hunt to fund in the first place, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Can I say what a pleasure it is to be asking him his final question as leader? Can he outline what impact has the increase in employers' national insurance had on the social care sector? In particular, how will that impact upon the council's corporate plan that he mentioned at the beginning of his update?
Mr Mayor, it's a very technical question. I haven't got that figures to hand. I'm more than happy to look into it. But as I say, the government made a very difficult decision to raise revenue because we inherited an economy that was absolutely trashed by 14 years of mismanagement by the Conservative Party. Difficult decisions have had to be made, but we've got a stronger economy, the strongest growth in the G7 currently, and a Chancellor who was willing to make them difficult decisions. And I'm proud of that record, because that government, as I've mentioned in my previous answer, has delivered at least £66.5 million directly in the heart of the city. In them decisions we've been able to give residents across Sunderland and across the country the largest pay rise in the first 18 months of this Labour government than they got in 10 years from the previous Conservative government, Mr Mayor. We see NHS waiting lists coming down month on month on month, with record satisfaction going up and up and up. At the end of the day, Mr Mayor, we inherited an absolute mess. We're cleaning that up, and the people of Sunderland wouldn't have got nothing from the party opposite, and we will absolutely deliver on our promises to improve living standards by the end of this Parliament.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. Point of order. There seems to be a misleading misnomer there by the council leader. The country with the highest growth economy in the G7 is Liberal governed Canada, not Labour Socialist United Kingdom.
Right, we will move on to the next item, which is reception of petitions. Do any members have petitions to present?
Mr Mayor, we received prior notice from councillors Mullen, Bernicle and Price. Councillor Reid. Councillor Hartnack.
Gibson.
Councillor Gibson. Councillor Bernicle, I've already got your name.
Butler.
Councillor Butler.
Price.
Councillor Price. Councillor Newey.
Feely.
Councillor Feely, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that's it. So we have petitions to be presented by councillors Mullen, Bernicle, Price, Reid, Hartnack, Gibson, Butler, Price and Feely.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have two. The first is signed by 339 residents of Elstob Farm and surrounding areas, calling upon Sunderland City Council to install safe pedestrian crossing points throughout Silksworth Lane, improve the entry and exit points of Elstob Gardens, Nursery Road and St Christopher's Road with either keep clear or box junction markings to enable safe exit and entry. And should the new retail development be given planning permission to avoid using the roundabout outside of Sainsbury's as its entry point and to move this further up the lane opposite the Everyone Active site. Number two, for Lindsay Leonard's benefit, my favourite cabinet member, without a doubt. A petition submitted on behalf of the Barnes and Thornhill Conservatives, Kevin Leonard, Ben Davies Scott and Nathan Williamson, signed by 152 residents of High Barnes, calling upon the council to deal with the issue of illegal parking on Chester Road by implementing the following: erection of railings or bollards to protect pedestrians on the footpaths, replace the double yellow lines with a red route so that enforcement on double red lines can be done via camera 24/7, and asking the council to make the necessary representations so that police officers in the Northumbria force are permitted to issue PCNs for illegal parking as requested by our neighbourhood officer.
Thank you. Councillor Bernicle.
I have a petition signed by 143 residents of New Bottle, Philadelphia and surrounding areas opposing the plans outlined in a pre-engagement document to build housing on the Russell Foster pitches. The residents oppose the destruction of this well-used leisure space, which provides an important opportunity for outdoor activity and engagement in sport. The local Conservatives support residents in their opposition to these plans and will continue to be on their side if the developer continues to pursue this venture.
Councillor Price.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to present this petition on behalf of the many users who use the NHS facility services to implement a turnaround plan for their community CAF at Horton Primary Care Centre. There's 1,827 signatures in total, and asking not to close the site due to clear and obvious management failures to run the CAF efficiently for the last 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I present this petition signed by residents which says HMOs have become a problem in Sunderland. Residents of Roker, Ashbrook, Thornhill and beyond have had enough of rogue landlords turning family homes into HMOs with no respect for the community or area. The Sunderland Conservatives have developed a motion to reduce the number of HMOs and stop new ones, a motion that Labour has blocked several times. It includes a citywide Article 4 directive limiting HMO density, calls for a covenant to be placed on all council new builds to prevent HMOs, conduct an immediate HMO audit and inspections. People want to see a reduction in the number of HMOs in Sunderland.
Councillor Hartnack.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Active Families North East are a well-established community interest company delivering high-quality services to parts of the city through programmes and initiatives which tackle poverty and raise aspirations. In April 2025, following a competitive process, they were formally notified that they had successfully secured the lease for Southwick Community Centre. They went on to secure £500,000 worth of new external funding to support their programmes and raised much expectation within the community. Despite the building lying empty and unused, the offer was later withdrawn, and there are serious inconsistencies in respect of explanations provided by the Council. This petition calls for Sunderland City Council to 1. Honour the original tender outcome and allow the lease process for Southwick Community Centre to proceed without further delay, and to enable this much-needed community asset to be revitalised and reopened for the benefit of Southwick residents. Despite the petition running for only a short period of time, there are currently 1,581 signatures supporting this petition. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to present a petition on behalf of certain residents of Nettles Lane, which has attracted over 100 signatures. It's to protect wildlife, particularly bird life, on Nettles Lane, and it follows some overzealous pruning of vegetation by the council. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have two petitions. I'm delighted to present this one with 1,347 handwritten signatures. We, the undersigned residents and community groups, support a community-led approach to managing and developing local facilities in Southwick. We believe local people and organisations are best placed to understand and meet the needs of their communities. Prioritising local involvement ensures services remain relevant, accessible and rooted in the community they serve. It is essential that opportunities to manage community assets are fair and supportive of locally based groups. We support the development of a new modern community centre on the site of the former bingo hall and fully back local councillor plans to deliver this project in partnership with residents. We call on Sunderland City Council to support local residents and groups to manage community facilities, ensure fair and transparent processes that prioritise local involvement. Number two is the residents of the surrounding areas and Southwick. We oppose the proposed 18-bedroom development in Southwick due to inadequate parking provision. The development will increase pressure on already congested streets, particularly Crozier Street and Newcastle Road, leading to reduced parking availability, safety risks and restricted access for emergency and service vehicles. We urge Sunderland City Council to reject the application as it represents overdevelopment and will negatively impact residents' quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Feely.
This petition's been signed on behalf of 140 residents of Ayton to improve road safety on Crowther and Emerson Road. We, the undersigned residents of Ayton, note a speed survey indicating 47.8% of vehicles do not respect the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit on Crowther Road. Therefore, we call on Sunderland Council to do the following. Install traffic calming measures on Crowther Road and Emerson Road to reduce speeds back to the average speed of 30 miles an hour and invest in more pedestrian crossings along Crowther Road and Emerson Road so residents can safely cross the road.
Thank you. Can we agree to refer these to the appropriate chief officer? The next item is questions from the public. I will now read out the questions we have received from people who are either a resident or study in the city. The first question is from Jake Walker. What steps are the council willing to take to reform footpath and driveway designs in the older suburb parts of Sunderland, as they are no longer fit for purpose, with larger vehicles and higher traffic volume, with this increasing the level of congestion when the roadworks are in process, so that we can ensure both pedestrians and driver safety? And this will be answered by Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Jake, for the question. The council has a feasibility team who will investigate all requests for service, and in areas where residents feel that footpaths and driveway designs are no longer fit for purpose. Each location is considered on a case-by-case basis. Any agreed changes to the highway network are carried out following the latest guidance and legislation and managed in accordance with all CDM and health and safety considerations.
Thank you very much. Will members of the public just make sure their phones are turned off, because there's a few occasions where the phone's been gone off there. Yes. Karen Noble, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. As CEO to a charity in Pallion who has service users who rely on a reliable, regular bus service, can the portfolio holder please update me on the current situation on the number 10, number 11 bus, and specifically if any Pallion councillors have engaged with Stagecoach on the issue to provide a voice for local residents before these changes were made? If so, what was the outcome of these conversations, and how did they impact the decision of Stagecoach in relation to these changes? And that will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Karen for your question and all the good work you and your team do in Pallion and the Pavilion in Pennywell. Bus services in Tyne and Wear are provided by private companies in a free market deregulated way. These companies define and operate routes without much influence from the council. Sunderland City Council works closely with Nexus, who are the passenger transport executive for Tyne and Wear, and responsible for engagement with bus operators on behalf of local authorities, and Nexus also monitors bus performance. The number 1011 service is operated on a commercial basis by Stagecoach. I understand that Councillor Donkin contacted Nexus with a petition signed by local residents and asked them to make representations to Stagecoach following the changes to the 10 and 11 service at the end of January. Councillor Donkin emailed me directly in January about the matter, and I replied that I would take the matter to the bus board, which I chair, to hold Stagecoach to account. I did raise the matter at the board and was informed that representatives from Stagecoach emailed councillors twice in August and once in September. Councillor Haswell replied to Stagecoach at the end of September and copied in Councillor Donkin. There were more emails exchanged from Stagecoach suggesting time for a meeting, but whatever reason, the meeting didn't take place. As part of the consultation, there were posters on buses and 2-person engagements, one in Pallion and one in Grangetown. I have been informed that Stagecoach were not aware that there were any councillors present at either of those events. In terms of the 10 or 11 bus services, Nexus provided the following update. Stagecoach recently undertook a review of their bus services in the Sunderland area and undertook a public consultation to change the route of the 10 and 11 service in the Pallion area. Stagecoach have stated that they have made these changes to improve the efficiency of their network, which has included a reduction in frequency to a combined every 15 minutes instead of every 10 minutes on the services 10 and 11. All residents remain within 400 metres of being able to access frequent bus service, and therefore service provision in the area meets the established minimum access criteria. While Nexus understands the depth of feeling concerning these changes, the primary reason for Stagecoach's decision was stated to be the changing of road conditions, and it is therefore difficult to protect and sustain a route design where there are safety issues. Nexus is not able to step in to provide an alternative bus service due to limited funding. However, improved bus services are a key priority for the council, and as a member of the North East Combined Authority, the council are currently participating in the process of exploring bringing the entirety of the bus network back under public control in order for the NECA to take responsibility for planning bus networks and specifying routes, timetables and fares.
Mr Mayor, point of order. Under Rule 8.1, can we extend the meeting to after members' questions?
After members' questions?
Yes.
I haven't ended the meeting yet. So, this is
I think it just formalise it. It just must have formalised. So I think everyone's agreed. And all right. So we need to do the reports. So which reports?
11. Item.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if I could just advise Council that it is quite important that the reports are considered at this evening's meeting, both the Cabinet report, the HR Committee, because there's the pay policy statement which needs to be adopted before the end of the month, and there are also some appointments that do need to be made on the appointments report. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Point of order, Mary Sunderland.
Leader was first, Niall.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Yeah, we did agree that we would use the time that were allocated for announcements to the end of the meeting, so I'm happy to propose that we extend and we get through all of the remaining items of business up to item, including item 13.1 and 13.2. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Is that seconded, Leader? Leader, do you want to re-clarify for some of the members what exactly you're proposing and what Michael Butler is seconding?
I'm moving that we extend the meeting past the guillotine to conclude the business
please allow
up
him to say it, and then
items
you can decide.
13.1 and 13.2.
Can you clarify which rule that's under to help us understand?
Me, my bald spot, Stephen, second that. Thank you.
Is that agreed?
Point of order, Mary Sunderland. I think the point of order I'm about to raise would conflict with that.
Which is?
Thank you. Under rule 14.1 I, can I suggest, Mayor Sunderland, that given that the extraordinary number of written questions by members of the public and by councillors, and as Phil Tighe has said, the importance of concluding the essential legal business of the council, that we move straight to the reports, item 10, and as we have done at previous meetings, all written questions are answered. We've done this before. Are answered in writing. Thank you, Mayor Sunderland.
He hadn't finished, had he?
Councillor, do you want to finish what you were saying?
The rule I was citing, sorry, is 14.1 I, which is motions without notice. What I'm moving, Mayor Sunderland, is simply that we move to the essential legal business of the meeting, item 10, because there is a precedent that we answer written and public questions in writing by the portfolio holder. We don't need to go through another 30, 40 minutes of questions. So I'm suggesting that we move forward. I'm sure, I am sure, Mayor Sunderland, that there is somebody who will second my motion.
Oh, this is the time waste right here.
I second that, Mr Mayor.
Who's speaking? Someone just said Mr Mayor?
I said I second, Mr Mayor.
Oh, you second, Councillor Wood. Thank you very much. Council, can we have a show of hands? Do we agree with Councillor Hodgson's?
I request a recorded vote, please. Mr Mayor, under Rule 18.3.1c of the Rules of Procedure.
Right, okay. You want a recorded vote? Right, we're going to have a vote on Councillor Niall Hodgson's proposal. Councillor Hodgson's proposal. Councillor Millfield's proposal.
So could the officer open the vote, please? So, members, the vote will be closing now. There are 20 votes in favour, 1 abstention and 39 against. Therefore, Councillor Hodson's motion is defeated.
Okay, carry on. Next question.
Right.
That's order in the chamber.
We will now move on to the leader's proposal.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
Point of order. Under what rule of procedure was the leaders referring to?
He said point 1. Or 14.1.
So, but that's not the same thing, though.
Right.
8.1, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, if I could clarify through you, please. The provision is simply that at Rule 8, unless the majority of members present vote for the meeting to continue, any meeting that's lasted for 3 hours will adjourn immediately. So I understand this is a proposal to extend the meeting to deal with particular items of business.
Does the leader want to move a proposal?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to move under 14.1 to vary the agenda to stop business now and move straight to items 10, 11, 12 and 13, please.
Touche.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
No, he's done it. He's done it. No.
And then
Order. Leader,
and then
please.
to come back to finish the public questions, because the residents of Sunderland have submitted these questions, and it's incumbent on us that we hear them questions.
And you are seconded.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So the leader is proposing that right now we move on to items 10, 11, 12 and 13 and then come back to public questions, item 8. And I even have... I even know which question we're on, and then the meeting ends. That will go to a recorded vote before anyone asks. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could the vote be opened, please? Members, the vote is closing now, please. $53 votes in favour, 1 abstention and 1 vote against. And therefore the order of business has been varied.
We will now move on to item 10. I now call upon the leader to move the report of the Cabinet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I so move.
Deputy Leader, Councillor Butler, do you second the report?
I second the report, Mr. Mayor.
Leader, would you like to speak to the Cabinet report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is fully set out. I recommend it to Council.
Does anyone wish to speak on the report? If so, please raise your hand. Deputy Leader, do you wish to speak? Councillor Butler?
No, I don't. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Leader, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
I haven't said anything to reply to, Mr. Mayor.
I do know it. Can we now agree the report of the Cabinet? I now call upon the leader to move the report of the Human Resources Committee.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Who seconds the report?
Second the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Leader, would you like to speak to the report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. To report the Human Resources Committee is fully set out and I recommend it to Council.
Thank you very much. Councillor Butler, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Do any members wish to speak on the report? If so, please raise your hand.
Mr Mayor, we received prior notice from Councillor Haswell.
Councillor Haswell.
A lone voice on this topic, it would appear. Very briefly, it's an issue I've been talking about for a number of years, and it is around the topic of pay disparity, and it is an issue I discussed at the HR committee itself. There is a growing disparity between highest and lowest paid at this local authority, which I do want to just highlight. Since I first joined the council, the gap at that point in 2018 was the highest paid on 179,000, the lowest on 16,000. Since then, that gap has grown dramatically by 2.5 times, with the highest on 215,000, lowest to 24,700. That is a ratio increase of 8.67 to 1 in 2018 to 10.87 to 1. Salaries are increasing at the higher range in this local authority, while the lowest remain far, far off that. I will acknowledge the median comparator of median salary to highest has seen an improvement. I know this is a very dull topic, potentially for a night like this, but it is important. That gap has improved, and I'll acknowledge that. It's reduced from 8.81 to 1 in a variance in 2021 to 7.69. But the gap between the lowest paid, those who struggle the most to fund their household bills and their food shopping, is growing. We've done some excellent work as a council trying to encourage the use of the benefits platform, salary maximisation of the items like this. So I just want to put it on record again that this remains a concern. I hope we'll look at it in the pay policy for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haswell. Leader, do you wish to exercise your right of reply?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to acknowledge Councillor Haswell's constructive contribution there, not just here tonight, but also at the HR committee. This is an issue that we are deeply concerned about, that we've taken action on. It is a symptom of 15 years of wage stagnation under the previous government. We are proud to be a real living wage employer in the city, protecting the lowest wages. On the top end of the spectrum, Mr Mayor, it is that you have to attract the top talent. Sometimes you have to pay the top bucks. And I say in our executive management team, we have some of the best, if not the best, officers in the country. But I acknowledge these points. It's something we keep constantly under review, and we will do that in the years ahead. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Can we agree the report? Item 12. I now call upon Councillor Truman to move the Audit and Governance Committee report.
I move the report, Mr Mayor, and reserve the right to speak.
Councillor Smith, do you second the report?
I second the report, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Truman, would you like to speak to the report?
I'm switched on. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be brief, but I think this committee deserves to have a few words said about it. Past and present members and the members of this committee all right across this chamber will agree with me that it is not the easiest committee to get your head around when you first come onto it. But thanks to two great officers who lead us in through the reports, Paul Wilson, our Treasurer, and of course Paul Davies, who helps us to understand the very importance of this committee. It looks at our finances, our audit, and it also looks at our risks and management of risk for the future. Paul has developed quite a good way of presenting this work, and it's on a traffic light system, red, amber and green. So anyone who comes onto the committee looking at the risks, the future risks, can easily understand what is going on. The report is fully set out, but I must mention, over many years of my attendance on this committee, we have an independent chairman, Mr Cook, who announced his retirement after many years at the last meeting, and I'm sure it will be very difficult to replace. So I'd like to place on record my thanks to Mr Cook for his years of service, and again, just to repeat the good work and the easy way to work with our Treasurer and Paul Davies. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Smith, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The report is fully set out. I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Do any members wish to speak on the report? If so, please raise your hand. No. Yes. Can we receive and note the report of Audit and Governance Committee? Item 13. The next item of tonight is reports, which includes a report of the leader on special urgency decisions and report on appointment of independent persons and appointments to committees and outside bodies. We will take these in turn, starting with the leader's report on special urgency decisions. Leader, would you please move the report?
I so move, Mr Mayor.
Who will second the report? Councillor Beth Jones, will you second the report?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Does Council agree to receive the report? Next, we will deal with the report on appointment of independent persons, appointments to committees and outside bodies. Leader, would you please move the report?
I so move, Mr Mayor.
Beth Jones, Councillor Jones, will you second the report?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Happy to second the report.
Does anyone wish to speak on the report?
Councillor Edgeworth. Councillor Mullen.
Councillor Edgeworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think our group has traditionally requested a separate vote on the appointment of independent persons, and I'd like to do so again. And we will be abstaining in that vote because I think we have conveniently never been called to a standards committee hearing with either of the independent persons, and so we don't know anything about them and cannot judge on whether to reappoint them. I also wondered, I don't know whether I can constitutionally do this, but in section 5 recommendations 2, 3 and 4, can I propose Fiona Miller fills the ungrouped member positions on those committees, please? Thank you very much.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, I have to correct Paul Edgeworth because Niall Hodson was called to a standards hearing and couldn't attend, and I had to fill in for him, and both independent people were present at that. And it's on that subject that I want to talk because I think Dennis Hall, and it says here Mr Stuart Green, but it is actually Dr Stuart Green, and that's very important to some of us for reasons I'll not disclose, are people who have provided excellent insight, points of reflection and challenge in committee. They've provided great support with the wealth of experience that they have. I think for the pittance that we pay them, it's well worth it because just in standards last week, which Kevin and Beth let me chair and gave me that great privilege, they actually challenged some of the assumptions we had made, and I think we got to the right conclusions, but it was with the benefit of their input. So as Peter Wood always did in the past with Dennis Hall, I have no problem endorsing both of them. I think they're a huge asset to the committee and incredibly insightful.
Leader, you have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would concur with Councillor Mullen's point around the independent people. In my experience, they are dedicated and they bring value to the committee, and the Labour Group was happy to support Councillor Edgeworth's motion to appoint Councillor Fiona Miller to the ungroup positions.
We will now have a vote on Councillor Edgeworth's proposal.
So just to clarify, Mr Mayor, this is in respect of Councillor Edgeworth's request for a vote on the appointment of the independent persons. So if the vote could be opened, please.
Mr Mayor, is this a vote? Is this a vote on having a vote or a vote on the independent persons?
So, yes, so Mr Mayor, to clarify through you, this is a vote on the recommendation to extend the appointment of Dennis Hall and Dr Green as independent persons, and then a separate decision will be taken on the rest of the recommendations. If the vote's opened now, please. And if the vote can be closed, please. "43 votes in favour and 10 abstentions, and therefore the extension of the appointment of the IPs is approved.
Councillor Edgeworth, you wanted some alternative appointments for Councillor Fiona Miller. What were they?
Well, if she's willing to accept them, which I haven't asked her, but I would, under part 5 of the report, recommendations 2, 3 and 4, it's to appoint an ungrouped member to Standards Committee, Joint Consultative Committee and Children Education and Skills Scrutiny Committee. So I would propose that Fiona Miller, as an ungrouped member now, after sensationally leaving the Labour Party, fills those posts. Thank you.
Everyone's going to say yes.
Is that agreed? Fiona, do you accept that? Can we agree the report? Excellent. I am now moving to item 8, question 3. Patricia Rayner and David Herring, residents of Sunderland, have submitted the following questions in respect of road repairs in the city. Patricia Rayner asks, I was pleased to see Sunderland Council are going to spend £1 million extra on road repairs. Can you confirm what percentage of this will be used to repair roads in Ayton, Oxclose, Blackfell and Springwell villages? Thank you. David Herring asks, I would like to bring to your attention once again the state of the roads in Sunderland. The council appears to have given up. There goes my mayoral badge. It's fallen off. Please give me 1 minute. Thank you.
That'll devalue them in next year's budget amendment.
Apologies, colleagues. David Herron asks, I would like to bring to your attention once again the state of the roads in Sunderland. The council appears to have given up even trying to repair the potholes, as all reports to them are ignored. The excessive damage cannot be blamed on the weather, as the roads in Denmark are perfect and they get worse weather than we do. I would be grateful if something could be done about this, and this will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the answer, thank you, Patricia, for your question. Officers are currently preparing a programme of works that will see the extra £1 million used throughout the city. I'm therefore unable to provide any detail at the moment as to where the £1 million of extra funding will be spent. I can inform you, however, that the Highways Maintenance Programme for 2026 to 27 will be presented to Cabinet on the 26th of March, and this provides detailed proposals for resurfacing planned throughout the city, as well as in Ayton, Oxclose, Blackfell and Springwell. And I'd like to thank David for his question. Council staff have responded to the huge increase in the number of reports of potholes by investigating every report and issuing works orders for emergency or urgent repairs if appropriate. At the peak, the council was receiving over 300 reports a day, and this compares to an average of 20 on a normal day. Extra resources have been diverted to responding to the pothole situation. The council have also undertaken additional resurfacing works, such as on the A690 at Stonygate, in order to reduce the risk to motorists. The damage is due to a combination of factors, including weather and an ongoing ageing asset. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Pounder, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. I believe that the people of Sunderland own the Marks and Spencer building. on High Street West in Sunderland. Given that £10 million worth of art that is also owned by the people of Sunderland is in costly storage, would it not be in the best interest of the people to look at the feasibility of using the Marks and Spencer building to house and exhibit this artwork? Any required refurbishments to this building, I believe, would be our money well spent. This will be answered by Kevin Johnston.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be quick before there's no one in the chairs opposite us in the next few minutes as we continue. The M&S building is subject to a lease to M&S until 2027, and therefore the Council is not in a position to consider alternative use at this time. However, the Council is making significant investment into opening up cultural opportunities, both through the construction of Culture House at the heart of the city centre and through the redevelopment of Sunderland Museum and Winter Gardens. As we take forward redevelopment of the museum, which is being supported by funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the Wolfson Foundation and the Friends of the Museum, alongside the Council's own resources, we are making significant investment in the collection and we'll be creating more opportunities for residents and visitors to access the collection in different ways. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. Glenda Young, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. In 2025, the stack at Seaburn was granted planning permission to expand with appropriate soundproofing. It has now been reported in the local news that stack projects in Durham, Bishop Auckland and Carlisle are currently stalled. Further opening of their Muddler Pub restaurant in Middlesbrough has been shelved and their YOLO Cafe in Pontyland sold. Will all of this have a delaying effect on when the expansion with soundproofing will begin at Seaburn and when will it start? And Councillor Kevin Johnston will answer that.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I'm delighted that our seafront is booking the trend nationally with over £32 million worth of private investment and is flourishing and going from strength to strength. And that's due to the work that we've done on this side of the chamber in working with partners and working with businesses. And you can only see that not just the stack, but the tram shelter, the work that's gone on there. The Seaburn is really a place where people want to come and spend their leisure time, and long may that continue. Planning permission for the permanent retention and extension of the stack was granted in July 2026, and subject to a number of time-restricted planning conditions. Investigations undertaken by the Council confirm that a number of the required noise mitigation measures have been completed. Where any requirements remain outstanding, officers will determine necessary enforcement action to ensure that the stack operates in strict accordance with the planning permission. During this time, Council will continue to closely monitor the site as part of its regulatory role. This will include ongoing checks to ensure compliance with planning requirements, as well as the assessment of any potential impacts in relation to statutory noise nuisance. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Alison Mason and Beth Hardy, residents of Sunderland, have submitted the following questions in respect of the National Glass Centre. Alison Mason asks, Labour's decision to perform a U-turn and suddenly back the campaign to save the National Glass Centre have been attributed to the Labour group, and it was fronted in the media by Councillor Ty. Could the leader please confirm his personal, unreserved support for keeping the National Glass Centre and all of the sentiments in Labour's Glass Centre motion which condemns the university? Ben Hardy asks, the university told the council 3.5 years ago it was planning to close the Glass Centre. Has the council made any approach to the university offering to take over the management of the Glass Centre? And this will be answered by Councillor Beth Jones.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The position of our Labour group was put out in a statement in February, and the motion tonight clearly sets out our intent and plans. Sadly, the Council does not have the finances required to take on the operational responsibility for the National Glass Centre and has therefore not made an approach to the university to take over management of the Glass Centre. The priority has and remains to work with local, regional and national partners to seek to secure the future of glassmaking in Sunderland, ensuring artists and creators have a place to continue their valued work in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicola Austin Ratcliffe, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Does the Cabinet member have full confidence in Gateshead City Council, or does she believe that we would be better served if they did not have a leading role in the safer roads partnership. And this will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Nicola, for the question. Gateshead Council are the lead authority for the partnership, comprising Northumbria Police, Northumberland County Council and other Tyne and Wear authorities, including Sunderland. Since the partnership formally commenced in March 2025, Gateshead have been working on the procurement of a fixed spot speed camera supplier. This has included going out to the market to engage with suppliers and following the tendering process to ensure best value. Northumbria Police and the other local authorities have been involved in moving the project forward. Given that this is a regional project, timescales and legal requirements do take longer based on the need to seek agreement from all parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Such, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. The media has reported that 65% of the funding King McGuinness has just announced for the heavily scaled back Crownworks Studio project is just a re-announcement of funding Jeremy Hunt originally allocated in his 2024 budget. Can the leader of the council confirm that only 35% of the funding package recently announced is new money? And this will be answered by the leader.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'd like to refer Thomas Such to the answer I gave his group leader, who's no longer in his seat, during my leader's update, which covered this topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Smith, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. What is the cause of the delay to opening of Red Gables, and why have parents from Give Us a Break not been kept informed, as the previous cabinet member promised they would be? And this will be answered by Councillor Butler.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks to Bill for the question as well. It is on track. It remains on track. There was a lengthy planning process, and we're really happy to see it progressing very quickly. More importantly, young people have been engaged with within this, including consultation with the TFC Send Stars, which is a fantastic initiative. The services have been kept informed at each stage, and personally, I'm happy to receive any emails from the group, as I personally know some of that group and how passionate they are, and rightly so. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Emma Porter, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Can the leader of the council please confirm that the council has purchased the Biz Space North Sands building, and if it has outlined what type of housing developments, so e.g. student flats or executive homes, have been discussed on the site? And this will be answered by Councillor Kevin Johnston.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Council's wholly owned investment and development company, Siglian, is currently in the process of acquiring the freehold interest in the North Stands Business Centre. In the short term, the bill will be held with Siglian's investment property portfolio for office use, and no decisions are being made regarding its longer term use. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Benjamin William Davis Scott, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Illegal parking in Edenvale has caused serious accidents. The police recently told Barnes and Humbledon Residents Association that they cannot do more than 20 miles an hour around Hutton Street and Vale Street during blue light incidents. Can the cabinet member commit to new double yellow lines to protect junctions, repainting the faded junction lines in this area, introducing proper enforcement and consulting residents on a CPMS? That will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Benjamin, for the question. Sunderland Council regularly liaise with the emergency services regarding locations of concern in the city and support access by investigating potential solutions. I can confirm that we have not received any concerns regarding this location from the emergency services. Officers will investigate residents' concerns, which will include a number of site visits to ascertain the extent of parking issues. In respect of your request for a community parking management scheme, CPMS, the Council has an active and approved programme of CPMS that is currently being progressed and installed, and therefore this allocation will be logged for consideration into the next programme. Thank you.
L. Pounder, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. On the 18th of June, 20th of June, 24th June and the 26th June 2025, an overall total of £570 of council taxpayers' money was spent at Sharpley Golf Club in County Durham. My question is, what advantages did the council taxpayers gain from this expenditure? This will be answered by Councillor Michael Maudy.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I think some council taxpayers gained a lot from this expenditure. It was social isolation funding in the area committee and it supported the delivery of Operation Trout. Operation Trout provided 4 trips for children at Easington Lane Primary School to attend the local fishing lake at Sharpley, with transport included. These sessions were designed to improve the overall well-being of a selected group of children, with a particular focus on those experiencing social isolation. The activities provided opportunities to learn new skills and engage positively in outdoor environments. As a result of this intervention, several children who have been identified as socially isolated were offered additional support sessions. Mr Mayor, in my view, money well spent.
Gabriel Green, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. I was concerned to hear the leader of the council say that he was spending taxpayers' money on a significant gamble, that all private sector investors had pulled out from as they felt it was unviable anymore. Does he feel that taxpayers' money holds so little value that, in his own words, gamble it away? And that will be answered by Councillor Michael Maudy.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. What I'm concerned about is the Conservative candidates across the city opposing Crown Works, which I've already said, Mr Mayor, is, once complete next year, going to be the largest film and TV studio anywhere in the north of England, providing absolute brilliant opportunities for people. I was at the site for the press event recently. A young woman from Hendon who is making a career in the film and TV industry, who's had to travel to Manchester and London to pursue that dream, will now have people like her will now have the opportunity to pursue them careers right here in the heart of Sunderland. I think this is money well spent. This shows that the Labour government, the Labour Mayor and this Labour Council will do all we can to provide opportunities for the people of Sunderland. And I just wish the Conservative Party in Sunderland would support this project, Mr Mayor.
Brandon Oakland, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Sunderland City Council under Labour has placed us into a high level of debt. Can the leader please explain if the council has a plan to reduce this debt level, something that significantly burdens our city's finances? Leader.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I would disagree with the implied criticism in the question. I think this council, it's worth pointing out actually, Mr Mayor, that councils, not just this one, but all councils across the country are not permitted under the current regulations to borrow for day-to-day services. The debt levels we have is because we took a conscious decision to invest in the regeneration and the future of the city. Some might see that as debt. I see it as investment. This council has prudent levels of debt. They are managed within the Treasury management frameworks, which are clearly set out through the various oversight committees and the overview that the Cabinet has. As I say, this council, this Labour Party, will continue to prudently invest in the future and the regeneration of the city for the benefit of the residents of the city.
Sam Johnston, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Residents of Roker have welcomed the major investment made in Roker Park over recent years. However, they are now frustrated by the slow progress in completing the improvement works and by other issues in the park being ignored by the council. Will the leader apologise for how long it is taking to get Roker Park up to the standard residents expect, and for neglecting areas such as the basketball court, which is in a terrible condition? This will be answered by Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks to Sam for the question. 5 Sunderland parks, including Roker Park, have year-on-year maintained the prestigious Green Flag Award. Roker Park has well been recognised being safe, clean, welcoming and environmentally sustainable. It is particularly known for its, and I quote, coastal charm and facilities. And Roker Park continues to benefit from one of the biggest investment programmes it's seen in generations. The Grade 2 listed Victorian bandstand is undergoing a full specialist restoration and will then sit within a 1.6 upgrade of Roker Park, including the new cafe, amphitheatre seating and the restoration of the waterfall and boating lake, building on more than 10 million already invested alongside the seafront. If residents have concerns about specific features, such as the basketball court, we absolutely want those issues reported to us so they can be addressed quickly. Thank you.
Nathan Williamson, a resident of Sunderland, has submitted the following question. Some months ago, at a previous meeting, the portfolio holder for Environment and Transport admitted that no action has been taken on the Conservatives' Reclaim the Lanes motion that was first passed in 2021. Can she update us on what work has been undertaken since admitting no work had been undertaken on implementing the motion? Councillor Lindsay Leonard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Nathan for the question. The actions from the motion have largely been carried out by the new neighbourhood hubs that we have been able to invest in. Building on the success of Sarah, Halo and the Sale projects, these have been extended to Pennywell, Hendon, Concord and Sulgrave. Amongst other functions, these hubs carry out consultation amongst residents with back lanes to understand their concerns and preferred solutions. And recently, the Sarah project reported back to my area committee. The hubs implement the solutions and ideas identified by the residents, and they support the residents who may look to increase social and environmental benefits with proposals to turn the areas areas into usable outdoor space for growing plants and socialising. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. That concludes the meeting. Thank you. Councillors, please remember to clear the rubbish away and take it with you where you can.